What's happening, PP? PP, are you white and yellow geckos? Pretty sure you are. What's going on, everybody? Friday night, party night. I thought so, man. I thought so. By the way, stunning gecko you've just got off Chris. Insane, lovely gecko. Good friends with Chris. I've seen his stuff. You got a good gecko from Chris, mate. Really nice. What's going on, everybody? What's happening, Lucy? Winter Meadow. What's going on, Winter? Alex, Chloe. You guys know how it is. We're just Perry. What's going on? Stephen Perry. Yeah, Chris has got some. I'm assuming you went to his facilities, like a sweet shop, innit? But as normal, everyone, we're going to be 5 minutes, get some people in. And then we got Mr. G. There's so much we don't know about Mr. G, so this is going to be really interesting. Well, how is everyone anyway? How's everyone doing? How's everyone's Friday? Just to let everyone know, this is going to be 18 plus because of Mr. G Breeder's a little bit sweary. What's happening, Jace? Wacky Exotics. Just sorting out this tripod. There we go. Mr. G, Mr. G. How's it going, Jace? How's your Leo's doing, mate? How's your Black Knight project going? Tom French. Here he is, Dan. What's going on, Dan? Mum, get off. Den of Exotics. Oh, Chloe, please don't get him started, please. He's going to ask for him and I'm not in the reptile room, so... Mike, come on! Yeah, mate, I think, do you know what? When you're with breeding, other people could tell you, like Chloe... For example, this season, you're always thinking, oh, next season's going to be better. And it does. Every season, it gets better and better and better. So I'm buzzing for next season too. I'm pretty sure Chloe is. Obviously, you, Jace. Every season gets better and better. They get more and more orange. They get bigger. New morphs. So we've got a few questions for Mike. Quite a few questions actually. Some of them are quite decent. But yeah, no, what everyone's saying, I'm next season's going to be huge for me. Well, to be fair, this season was massive. Got some stuff over, like some really good stuff over. Big up the big brother. See, I've got the whole family tuning in for you, Mike. Everyone's coming in. Appreciate everyone tuning in. As you all know, these go on YouTube and Spotify, so I understand some people do nip out and they come back. So yeah. Got the Coppersbergs out. Hope everyone's got their takeaways ready. Also, keep the questions rolling. When we're doing the lives, they do really help to keep it flowing, because sometimes you do hit a wall like, oh, I'm running out of things to say. Yeah, big up James on his photos, man. What a difference. It's crazy. I always say to people, get a good camera and get good quality photos, because it makes all the difference. All the difference. What's going on, Scott? Noble Family Geckos. Everyone go and check him out. Some stunning stuff. We're going to have him on at some point. So be sure to check out Noble Family Geckos. Good guy. MPN Reptiles. Exactly, lighting is the key. Unfortunately, in the UK, I mean, I took some shots in the garden last weekend. Was it last weekend or was it like Wednesday or something like that? And I was taking photos and videos in the garden because it was a nice day. And I said to my mum, I went, Mum, these photos are incredible, but we just don't have the weather for it. That's literally the only issue. So I always say invest in a really, really good camera and get yourself a really, really good LED light. Get the LED light that changes as well. For example, this one, it changes all different tones. Look, I'm now orange. So, you know, just invest, save, invest. Lucy's got a brand new, got some new cameras and stuff. Her photos are incredible. So Lucy Leo's going to check her out too. She said a few bits and pieces off for me. But anyway, should we get into this? Shall I get Michael on? I'm not in the gecko room, but I have got not that everyone here is everyone's Leo's here, but loads of people have been asking for me to show off my male Cresties that's produced pretty much all my babies. So I've got him in a tub firing up, you know, when you put him in a tub to keep him dark, give him a spray. So hopefully he's fired up and I can show you all. We tried a jungle dawn bar. And how did you find that, Winter? Did it work? Right, no further delay. Let's get Mr. G Breeder in. So Mr. G, Mike, if you're listening to this, just put in the comments, tell me you're ready, and then we'll get you on. Dynamite Reptiles, give Dan and Telma a follow. You know, I'll probably go into this a little bit later because we've got some like novice breeder questions. Dan and Telma have probably got one of the best tangs, I think, in the UK. So, you know, there's so many new breeders that are importing and they're making movements these days. There's so much good information in that now. And there's people out there that are willing to help, like Jay, for example. He's happy to people to jump on shipments and everything. Again, nobody told me. I keep forgetting you're not massive on Instagram. Anyway, Mr. G, let's get you in, mate. Let's get you in. I'm going to send you a request now. So we got Molt in the house. I told Molt yesterday, I was like, Molt, you scare me, man. What's going on, Molt? Jay? Mr. G. Coming on, Molt. When are you coming on? I reckon we should do a trio. Molt and Magic. Oh, here we go. Oh, here we go. He's starting already, everyone. Finished?
Well, couldn't refuse that one, could I?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. Good.
Oh, last, mate, you've had a shave.
I have, mate. Grown up, grown down, you know what I mean? I've had a wash.
First one this week?
This month.
No.
Yes, yeah. That's why all that's come off. Use the water once.
You're looking fresh, mate. You're looking fresh. Anyway, let's get into it. We've got these questions for you. We're live.
Fire away.
The same question I ask everybody at the start, and it's kind of something you got to ask. What got you into the hobby? How long you been in the hobby? Because I know I spoke to you the other day, and I said to you, "Oh, because you're quite new." You went to me, "Whoa! I've been doing this a very, very long time, sir." So
Elaborate. Well, so I started off collecting animals when I was a kid at school. I weren't much of a people person, so I used to go and play in the pond, collect frogs, newts, all that sort of jazz. I grew up a little bit, funny enough. Where did I go to? The first pet I had when I was, mid 1990s, was 2 iguanas.
right.
Wow. Went down to PetSmart when it was PetSmart, all nice and not Pets at Home, PetSmart. To took 2 iguanas home. One fried itself in the heating mechanism, and one decided to jump out the window and disappear. So
No way.
yeah. So yeah, that was the end of that run for about 6 months. So I sort of give up. Went back to the drawing board. Went, right, what should we do here? So every time I went out, I went and brought a book on reptiles, no matter what it was. Geckos, lizards, anything at all. I then started earning money, big money, for when I was a kid, should I say. So I went to college. I'd done an animal care course at college. So there we got to interact with the animals, with different animals, everything from ants, goats, you know what I mean? It's all that sort of jazz. And then I went back home, sort of built a shed, went, I'll tell you what, I'm going to start a collection here. So we started off with bearded dragons, started off with geckos, scorpions, tarantulas, and then I was like, no, I want something big, I want something fascinating. So that's when I went into the Burmese. So I went to the Burms. I brought 5 Burms. They're an experience in themselves, which, yeah, they're an experience.
From what I've seen, Mike, with Burms, I've never had one. The only snakes I've ever had was I've had one garter snake, I had a handful of corns, and I had a handful of royals. But from what I've seen, and you're probably going to laugh at me, so I'm so wrong. Are Burms quite, even though they're big and when they do attack, it's obviously devastating, but aren't they quite placid?
Yes. Yeah. I only ever had one that was Viv defensive, but once she was out the vivarium, she was perfectly fine. I had friends that come round, take a picture, and all that jazz, and like, have you seen the size of Mike's snake? All that. I had it all. People on the estate knew. I had people come and drop me off snakes that they found in the street. Is this one of yours? No, it's not one of mine.
I'll have it though.
Do you know what I mean? I'll have it, because that's what I do. I took it all on board. I had corn snakes, I had king snakes, I had boas, rosy boas, snapping turtles, blue-tailed monitors, roughneck monitors, hamsters. What else? I've had quite a lot of stuff, to be honest. I was almost, I want to experience this. I'll go out and buy this.
Yeah.
I had this. I had a pair of tortoises, leopard tortoises.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, mate, absolutely amazing, but make a mess. They don't half make a mess. Shit. You ain't seen shit. I tell you, literally, it goes in solid and it just comes out, whoa, mush.
Yeah.
But I had those for several years. I kept them, put them outside when it was lovely and sunny, kept them outside. They had a place to live outside. I moved them on. 2 weeks later, the lady rang me. I've just had eggs off your tortoises. And I was like, oh my God. The only achievement I wanted for that season was to have eggs off tortoises. Jeez. But yeah, I think she was at 15 eggs, but then she never got back to me to say whether they survived or not. And I was like, all that time and all that effort, and I moved them on for someone else to go, I've got your reward. I was like, oh God, shoot me now.
But was it quite soon when you sold it, because of the likelihood of them being grabbed when in your care? And obviously you didn't know, so she's got pop.
Yeah, 2 weeks. 2 weeks after I moved them on, she had a playpen literally outside and a little barn with all the lights. She kept sending me pictures, and she went, "Oh, she's dug," and I dug it up, and there were the eggs, and I was like, "Oh, thanks very much." Just what? Yeah.
Oh, that's so annoying, isn't it? It's so. I mean, you're like, can I have them?
Yeah, can I have them back? But no, I sort of kept stuff for my own liking, for what I wanted to do and achieve from it, and to say, oh, I've looked after that. I didn't breathe everything I kept. What I looked at doing was not run it as a business, run it as a pet, as I was earning my own cash. Yeah. I was like, I'll just treat myself to a corn snake. I got friendly with the guys at the local pet shop and a couple of pet shops in the area, and literally everything I brought, I looked at, right, if I had babies off this, would you have them back? Because one, I didn't want to get stuck with, and two, the internet wasn't a massive thing, and I didn't know where to look, didn't know where to go. So I always made sure that they had homes to go back to.
Yeah.
So the local pet shop went, yeah, that's not a problem. So brought a pair of kings, brought black king snakes. What else did we have? We had loads. Corn snakes, we had corns, hognoses, Brazilians. Had a
Rugby
pair of
boats, huge back in your time. Now they're rare.
yeah, yeah.
I think I couriered 6 the whole time I done it, and every time I delivered them, the person was like, "You don't understand how rare these are." And it's not just rosy boas are rare; it's trying to find rosy boas with not the same blood, not related at all. A lot of them you buy, they're brothers and sisters, and they're pairing them back, which is fine. But a lot of people are like, I need fresh blood."
Yeah, because I got in touch with a breeder. It was years ago, but I took it up and I says, "Look, have you got anything we compare this with?" And he went, "No, it's the wrong subspecies. Looks the same, but it's the wrong subspecies." And I was like, "Oh," so we went halfway around the country trying to find it. I just couldn't find them, to be honest. And I like them. They're a small, handleable snake. I'd love to have them again.
Yeah.
But the problem is when I had all my collection, everything was rosy. Yeah, everything was rosy. Then life got shit. I had to sell everything, move everything on. I had to grow up pretty quick, and then I lost touch because it wasn't fair on having animals if I wasn't in it.
Yeah.
If I wasn't in it, it wasn't fair on them. It never is because they seem to be the ones that suffered. You know what I mean? And that's why you get a lot of neglected animals. So I grew up a little bit, moved on, found women, found beer. As you do. And then, 2019, I think it was, I spoke to a friend at work and says, "Oh, I'll tell you what, should we go to a reptile show?" Because he likes his tarantulas.
Right.
I said, "I know where you can get some tarantulas from. We'll go to the show." So we went to the show.
Was that Doncaster show?
That was the Donny show. So I generally went to look to buy as a pet.
Bottle couple. Your breeding mind's trying to
Well, it was just everything just come back. It was all like, oh, the smell, all that BO, all them smelly people walking around, Donny. Yeah, that's what
that fresh smell of beardy shit.
Yeah.
All back
you know
to
what I
me.
mean? That's it. That's what I wanted. All that muck. You know what I mean? All my time and effort into these pets. But I went back. I brought 3. I brought one from Mike from the Gecko Lounge. I brought one from another breeder upstairs. He was, and funny enough, he was the only guy that I saw that had tugs. So I brought Tug, Het Bell, Het Radar, and then I brought a Tug Tremper from Mike. Right, and I took them out. I sat there on the internet for hours and hours, and I thought, oh, what can I put with this? What can I put with that? Almost like a mad scientist, writing it all down, sticking it on the walls. And I was like, oh, it's like being in a padded room. So I'm actually driving me mental now with how many morphs, how many genes, how many this, that, and the other there is. To back when I first kept geckos. I kept geckos before, and as I said, I bred them and gave them back to the shop, because what I used to do with the shop was they used to give me a credit note. My hobby generally paid for itself, and that's what I generally see in the hobby now, or I'd like to see more of, than people try and do it for quick cash. It's not quick cash, never will be unless you breed millions or you go top end. But then obviously there's always the market, because the market can crash if there's too many out there per se. But that's a whole. That's one of the points in breeding geckos, because you never know what's going to happen. I sat in the car the other day thinking, oh, why don't I go back to normals? Because normals to me are just as good looking as any other morph per se. The same with the royals, the normal ones for me. That's what I grew up with. I was at reptile shows when the albinos first popped, and they were popping out $4.5K each. Now you can go to the show and pick them up for £100.
Yeah, I remember when I first got into the hobby, pied royals, even hets, were worth a lot of money. Now you can get a normal het pied for £50.
Yeah,
They're new morphs, as people buy them, and similar with Black Knights and other stuff, when the more and more come to the market and more get bred, cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. Yeah, like what Holly said, Clown is huge at the moment, huge, and it won't be long until it'll be a it's like a trend, exactly.
Yeah.
It is like a trend, like a fad.
It's a fashion trend. It's a fashion trend. People breed it because people want it.
Yeah.
So I could say, as Andromeda said there, clowns are in. So what you'll find, everyone will be scavenging after clowns.
Mm-hmm.
I tend not to follow the trend. I want to breed what I like. I want to breed what I want to achieve out of the animal. Yeah. It's a hobby for me. I'm not producing for the masses. I'm not producing for the world.
Yeah.
But I'm producing on what I like. And what comes out the other end is the bonus for me. That's my goal. That is my goal, to see that I've produced this and I've got this and I've kept it, and that's the joy for me in keeping animals.
I think they're good. They're good on their own. Like, I don't know whether you're the same. Whenever you're having any bad thoughts, or I just find the geckos keep me out of trouble. It's like the other day, my old man said to me, "The amount of hours you've spent in that room," and I was like, "Keeps me out of trouble, Dad. Keeps me out of trouble." Are you the same? Do you find it the same? Or if I'm not in the right headspace, if I've had an argument with somebody, I just go into the room and it just gone. The whole time I'm in that room, my head's focused on geckos.
Yeah, so I get in from work, literally, don't take this so funny, I strip down in my pants, socks, and I'm straight in that gecko room. I'll spend three hours down there. The wife comes home from work, I go up, I'll have some dinner, I'll say I'll be back in a minute, and that'll be it then. She probably won't see me till bedtime.
Put my dinner in the microwave.
Yeah. Or she'll shout out, "Your dinner's ready." I'm like, "Can you bring it?" No, better not, push me luck. But yeah, you do spend a lot of time, and that's the bonus of keeping these animals. They're not just a pet that you're like, "Oh, I've got a gecko." It's something you've got to like, or else it's just a waste of time you've been in the whole hobby, to be honest. 100%. You're just wasting people's time, your own time, and it's not fair on the animal. As I said, it's not fair on the animal at all. They've got to be. Sorry, I was looking at the fish. But you've generally got to put as much time as effort into an animal as you have a person. Let's be honest, or else it doesn't work.
Living, you know what I mean. It has feelings, you know.
You wouldn't put a baby in a room, shut the door, and leave it till tomorrow.
Just throw a pot of mealworms in there.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It's just like, get on with yourself. Here's your formula. Do you know what I mean? Put the kettle on, do it yourself.
Up yourself.
Yeah, that's what it's all about. But no, it's the interaction and the happiness I get out of seeing animals being kept right and producing, and you just come up with some outstanding stuff. It's like I've got a mix of stuff. I put stuff together, not necessarily looking at how can I put this, like lines, like, if I put this to this, I'll get this, that, and the other. I've put stuff together thinking, I wonder what I'll put out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like I had a conversation with Dave at DC Geckos, and I asked him about one of his males that he had for sale, and I was like, what about if I put this with this? And all it come back was, think out the box. I was like, all right, sorry, I'll think out the box, shall I? So I went back to him with a few more females that I've got, and he was like, "Yeah, now you're spoilt for choice, aren't you?" And I was like, "Oh, cheers, Dave. Thanks very much. What do I do now?" Because I've got all my plans written down for next season. They're all there. And then Dave come along. I went, "Think out the box."
What are you doing now? Not good enough.
Yeah. Why? And that's what I can see him standing there. Go, why? Text me at 3 o'clock in the morning saying you're going to put this for this, and all he comes back with, why?
Yeah.
Think out the box.
Dave asks questions like, for example, like that, and he likes to see it as, so like you say, the next season, Dave, I'm going to pair a copper to a bold tug snow, and he will say, why do you want to do that? He's not saying it to, like, I know you know, he's not saying it to, like, belittle anyone or make anybody go, oh, is that not good enough? What he wants is he wants you to tell him the project you got in mind, because if you got a project, so if I turned around and went, I want to make tangerine bolds and some snows come out, he'll be like, Perfect. But if you were to turn around and go, oh, I don't know, I'm just hoping the snow and the tang will mix together, make a pinky colour, and he'd be like, no, that don't work like that.
No, it doesn't. It does not at all. As I said, I've had a mixed bunch this season, and I just don't know where that's come from that or that's come from that. Excuse me. As I said, I put stuff together thinking, oh, we'll see what comes of it.
Yeah.
It's my own. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you got it covered as well. Like what I like is what you just said at the start. You said you probably got it. If I can't get rid of all these geckos, I've got backup. You know, I've got like shops and things like that. Yeah, totally. And I can see you love doing it. It's like some of the stuff like with clowns, you can cross a clown to whatever you like. So like this season, I've crossed a clown to a blood because I just wanted to see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah. You think about it, right? You look back to where these genetics actually come from. So someone's gone out, got a gecko from that place, a gecko from that place, put them together, and they've gone, well, there's an albino in there somewhere. So what's stopping you from putting a normal to a normal and producing something else, something that's not out? Do you know what I mean? Not out there in the market, such as Mike from the Gecko Lounge. He's got one on there. I spoke to him about the other day. And he's unsure of actually what it is. And he said if he sells it, whoever has it as a project, but it's got to be bred to a non-snow to see what that female actually produces. Because he doesn't know what's in it. It looks like a snow, but there's no snow in that line.
Is that green line?
Yes.
Yeah. Funny enough, I spoke to Mike, and I've hatched a green line that looks very, very snowy too. But there's no snow in the line at all. And he said, there's no snow in this line. And, I've got loads of green lines. Jonathan worked on them. Loads of people in the UK work with green line. No snow's pop. So if you're going to pinch that, that's a shout.
Well, who knows? We'll see. We'll see. As I said, I've got projects written down for next season, but they may change still. I'm still not 100% on anything, but I've got to write it down or else I'll forget. And then when it comes to it, I'll be like, oh, can't remember now. And then I'll end up putting something to something and go, oh, I didn't want that one. I didn't want to do that one this season.
Yeah.
But that's also the fun of it. That's what I find the fun of it, because you could turn around and go, I produced this one. I have no idea what's in it, but I produced this. But
me. But when you sell a gecko and that customer is so happy with it, that gives me such a will to continue. Like if I sell someone a radar and they're so happy with it, you think, yes, get in there.
Yeah. That as I said, when it comes to the end, I say the end. That sounds really bad. But when it comes to moving them on, I'd like to see the customers happy with what they want, which I don't mind spending hours sending them photos of that gecko, sending videos of them. And then I've moved on 2 this season so far. I've only put 4 up to move on. Both of them are gone, and I get pictures and updates pretty regularly. Because I also do aftercare. I always do. And I said, if you get stuck, if you don't want it anymore, I'll happily have it back, because I know it's coming back to me. I know everything's good, that it's not gone to some Tom, Dick and Harry down the road that just wants it for a bit of a buzz, just to show off to the friends and stuff. And
they dry out eventually, don't they, a lot of the time?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. But as I said, any animal you get stuck with, bring it back, and I'll always try and rehome it then.
Yeah.
Because there's always people out there that want one for the kids, and the kids grow up, get a bit, it's a bit crap. But
there's a market, right? This is the thing, is like I do see some comments and people say, oh, don't breed crappy geckos, don't be breeding normal geckos at 30 quid. But if I'm honest with you, if you want to get into the into leopard gecko breeding, but you want to earn money out of it, my advice, just get a load of normals and wholesale, because of quick turnarounds, like £30 gecko, £30 gecko, £30 gecko. When I've got like giants, I ain't earning a penny, because I'm raising them, I'm feeding them. I've got them till 6 months. They've cost me pretty much what they're worth. So if anyone's getting into this and thinks I want to earn money, wholesale is how you actually earn money in this. Unless you're like Malt watching this like this, If you're working with real quality, then obviously you got that. So you've got like Barry Gardner, his Mandarin Tangerines, he wants like 2K for one. And also a comment Malta's put, he said about Pure Line, nothing's pure. And Malt knows this. Nothing's pure. Everything. If you've got, let's say, for example, I've hatched a tangerine and it's got a blue spot on its head. I've paired it to a male or a female, whatever, and I've had babies. I'm going to keep crossing that in to make that blue stay. Eventually, the babies are going to start being infertile. There's going to be issues because of the bloodline. It's the same bloodline. So then, what you've got to do is you've got to cross it with something. So everything has been crossed. Everything.
Yeah.
The reptile arc. Sonia, yeah. So yeah, everything's been crossed. Everything.
Yeah, it has. It's got to, as I said before, when you put two normals together and you produce an albino, you're going to cross it back to mom or dad to get more albinos, and then so on and so on.
Brother and sister, then their kids back, and eventually you got to put something fresh in.
You've got to, and that's where you go back to the normals. They used to do it with royals. And a lot of breeders now, there's a lot of breeders I know out there that still use normal as a base. So they'll put something across that, say a banana. So some of their clutch will come out banana, but with it being put with a normal, it's got a stronger gene per se. So that then will be put against XX or what? Do you know what I mean? It's to make those genes stronger. It's the same with the leopards, as you said. What's an ugly gecko? What is? Do you know what I mean? But
like people, to me, a hypo, just a normal old school, you would have known when you first started. A hypo to me, I don't like that. But then there is somebody out there who loves hypos. Do you know what I mean?
Yep.
So what is a shit gecko? Every gecko someone's gonna like.
Yeah. People go to pet shops, and in one sense, you're limited to what they have. But per se, that child wants to I want that gecko there. But to me and you, or to whoever, it might look, oh, that's normal.
Boring, that's not, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But it might be normal, but you could put that against something in here or one of your collection, and you could have something totally new. Yeah. You could have a different gene altogether. We don't know 100% what half of these animals carry, unless you did some sort of amazing tests on them.
Yeah,
you've got no idea. I get the albino strains and the ghosts and the McSnows and all those sort of strains, and this can't be done, that can't be done. But where does it stop? Where did it start? That's one of those. But as long as you play it safe in the hobby, I've always liked. It sounds really bad, but experimenting, which is what gecko breeding to me is also like. So I could put this one with that one, and as we keep saying, you could come up with something new, something fascinating, something totally different. And then, as you said, you will breed that with such and such to get more of those. But then once it's done once, you've got to try and outcross it with something else to make it stronger, or else you're going to end up weak. Possibly not just deformities and stuff like that. We don't know what goes on up in here with animals. They can't tell us going, oh, hold on, I'm feeling a bit doolally tap here. You need to stop doing what you're doing. Let's move on. Such as, but we won't mention that one because it upsets a lot of people when we talk about it. But yeah, it's one of those. It's one of those.
I think, like you said, I think all of this is. I do have pairings where I go, I wonder what's going to happen out of that. That'll be interesting. But the key with it is be truthful when it comes to moving on. So, like, if I decide, and this is just an example, if I decide I've got a Tremper green line, I would really like that to go into a bell. Obviously, that would be paired to a bell, but you'd have to be, you got to do it the right way, because obviously bell and Tremper, it doesn't cause deformities if you're breeding together. It's just a genetical mess. That is literally all it is. So you just have to be truthful, line breed the Tremper out, lots and lots of test breeding. Just, all of this is experimenting. There's so many people out there that are breeding to find the next morph, but just be like true with it, sensible with it. And when you do sell geckos, you just say to somebody, like, or wholesale stuff that's got het bell and het Tremper, just be truthful with it. Het eclipses in everything. Everything I buy, whether it's het free or not, in the back of my head, I think that could have het eclipse in that.
Yeah.
Like you said, there's millions of things in these geckos. There could be like 5% MP.
Well, that's the thing. You see, that could what makes up something new, but people don't know it's MP because you don't know it's there, and that's when I think it all comes together, and then ta-da, it's magical. But it's the same when I do my artwork. I put colours together and see what I come out with, and in one sense, that's what I've seen. The geckos is as a living art. I see them as living art, same as royals, same as berms. You get it in everything, and you combine those colours and you combine it and you put something together and you're like, wow,
yeah,
that's coming out stunning.
I don't know any Tremper stuff that isn't for just some percent het eclipse. Don't even get me started, Mo. The whole percentage thing sometimes baffles my brain. But anyway, got some questions here for you, Big Mike.
Yeah,
some of them are difficult. Some of them are difficult. What is your dream gecko? So, what is a gecko you've seen or you've looked at and you've gone one day? Like, for example, a lot of people's going to be Black Knight. So. Yeah, do you look at it? What gecko do you look at and go, one day I really want to work at that? Why are you laughing?
Begins with a R.
Red diamonds.
Oh, but straight up, to be honest, I haven't really got one. I'll work with anything that I like. I'll work with. I've looked at Black Knights. I thought, oh, what could I put this with? And I've looked pretty much across the board to see what's what. But as I said before, I'm more. How can I put it? I'm more artistic with what I try and put together, more than this, that, and the other. Yeah, there is stuff out there I'd love to own, but then there's stuff out there that I think, oh, I'll put that together and actually see what that makes. If you get what I mean, That's the line I want to take.
Like you had excuse me, correct me if I'm wrong. I think you had a tug and a bold, or a tug and a bandit pairing, and that came out saucy. That came out really saucy.
So I'll show you this one. This one I'm unsure of. Where the other three, because the female decided to lay the rest of her eggs outside the bowl. But this one's totally thrown me.
I had a tug snow female that, for some reason, she kept laying her eggs in the water. But I'm lucky enough, I got most of them. Oh yeah, got some deep oranges in that neck. I'm just a professional at showing geckos, and I got that bang.
Well, this one has not moved since I put it in the tub, and now all of a sudden it wants to do everything that Batman does. But this one seems to have lost all its bold, but it's got oranges on its head.
Yeah, I can see.
It just seems to be getting, to me, lighter and lighter. But we had the discussion, I think, with Chris from CNF Gecko and the Tugmeister, Mr. Redding himself, on to see whether it actually did have possible snow in. Because the dad to this one does look like this. Very similar.
Yeah.
But mom's an absolute beast. She's an absolute beast. And if you saw my video that I put on the other day, where she was in the front of the gin bottle, licking her lips, she's an absolute beast. And I absolutely love this one. I think I've got to say she's one of my favourites. But she's going to mess around now, isn't she?
I can see she's a big girl. Oh,
mate, she's massive. Honest to God, I try not to feed her.
Yeah, she's nice.
But these lines are all solid. But she is. Hello. But she's got that great band across her nose, which one of the hatchlings that I had has got. But they've all stayed dark. It's only that little one that I just showed you in there that is actually gone lighter and lighter. But what I'm going to do with her is I think I'm going to put her across a non-tug to see if she produces any tug snows.
Yeah.
Because then I can say she is a tug snow. I've kept 2 out of that clutch back. So I've kept the one with the dark band across its nose and that one. If you go on my Instagram or my Facebook page, the pictures are on there. Or if you want to ask me after.
Is that the one that's got like, it's like 2 lines on the nose? Like here?
No, the one actually, it's fully banded across the nose.
Oh, I know exactly the one. Chris Flavel pointed it. Yeah, I remember now. Yeah, that's lovely.
Well, that one, yeah. So I'm keeping that one and this one, and then I think the other one I'll have to move on because I've got to make space. But yeah, as I said, that one there, she just gets lighter and lighter, and she come out the same. She had all the dark on, all the dark patches on, but I had to move her on to.
Can't keep them all.
You can't keep them all, and as I said, I keep my geckos probably longer than anybody else, unless I know that I'm definitely going to move them on because I want to make sure that they're healthy and fit to go. But yeah, that's what I come out with, and wow.
I know you do a lot of like artistic stuff. I don't know whether that's your job or whether that's like another hobby. Do you incorporate what you do with leopard geckos into your artwork too? Like, do you ever is there a certain pattern you send in the gecko and been like, oh, that would look cool on a skull with horns on it?
You mean like that one there? The Black Knight of Skulls. Sort of. I see the colours that I produce in my artwork and the art that I've done for others and everything else, and I can generally see that in the geckos. So putting geckos to the artwork, it's very similar. As you said, you're putting colour to colour and then you're producing this piece of artwork and you're just like, oh, that's actually worked out pretty well. But as I said, I generally don't do it a mass production. Excuse me. Because to me, then I'm just breeding stuff for breeding stuff's sake. So this year I only put 5 females. Some happened, some didn't, and the ones that have are some great stuff. I brought a 1-4 group from Chloe, the green and tangerines.
Oh yes.
Unfortunately, they weren't up to weight, so I've waited. I've kept them. They're sitting there perfectly fine, and I'll keep waiting until they're ready to go. I'll keep waiting because I was like, oh, that'd be nice to put with that, and all that with that, and I'll wait. I'll happily wait. Do you know what I mean? It's part of the hobby.
You'll wait another year. You'd rather you care about the gecko rather than just we'll just slap her, let her lay a couple of eggs, let her struggle. Do you know what I mean? Like, a lot of people have that mindset. Oh, if I get two, I'm going to breed her early. I'm going to get 2 eggs out of her. If she dies, at least I got 2 eggs. I'm going to get my money back and more. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, I totally agree with you.
Totally. Because to be honest, as you know, and some people in the group know, I started off with a real shit season. Shit season to the point where I thought
you were going to go.
Never like this when I was a kid. I used to go to the pet shop, buy them, take them home, grow them, breed them, send them back.
Yeah.
But
do you think it's because
I still don't know
working with designer morphs? It's because of you've got all these genes in them, and like humans, my genetics might not work with somebody else. You know what I mean? And we might not be able to have a kid because of our genetics and DNA don't work. Do you think because we've got all these designer morphs now and they've been line bred for so many years, and like you said, we can't see what's going on inside?
Exactly. I don't want to point the finger. The 3 I had, one was from one breeder, the 2 were from another breeder, which used the same male.
Right.
And they were...
Right.
As I say, I don't know. I don't know what went on there. They all went the same way. I sent poo samples off. Poo samples come back fine with test again in a few weeks on. So to me, it's got to be something up here that's twisted or just not working. The one I had, I was feeding it the night before. It's perfectly fine.
Yeah, I remember
Went down.
we had a conversation. You showed me pictures, like completely fine, this gecko.
Yeah, I was absolutely stuck on what to do. I was like, oh. But some days it'd be all right. As I said, the night before I fed it, and then went down the day before, and it was like having a bit of a wobble. And then coming from work, just gone. It's almost like something just clicked. Almost like having a stroke, not in a funny way. Do you know what I mean? It can just something just happened. So yeah, I was like, oh shit. Well, my wife's watching now, so I've got to be careful. When I had 1 or 2 geckos, yeah, I was just like, oh, I've got a whole rack here. What if? Do I carry on? So in one season, that's why I only bred so many of my females, because I thought I didn't want this shit to go through everything, because then I just give up. I'd have gone and get more pet fish. But no, I held off, waited till the results come in. Still didn't give me any answers, to be honest. But yeah, I stuck at it. I produced babies.
You've got a buzz again now, haven't you? I've noticed recently you've got that buzz. I've had some wicked geckos this year. Wait till you see next year, boy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Honestly, I've got. It did. It started once they started hatching, because I did have a couple of females that weren't laying. They were laying outside the box, and obviously when I went to work, come back and the eggs were all nailed anyway, and I was just like, oh, but look what we could have had. Yeah. But that's part of the breeding to me. It's one of those. Do you know what I mean? It's
in the wild. The reason why they lay 2 eggs every 2-3 weeks is because of only one of the 18 eggs that female lays every year is supposed to survive. I'm pretty sure in the wild they're like, I need to. Oh, this rock will do. Do you know? I think that's just natural. It's like I said, I had a tug. She laid it in the bowl. It's like, love, you must have got wet laying that. What are you doing?
Yeah. That female that I just showed you there, she laid 4 eggs in the dig, and then she laid the next 4 somewhere else. I don't know.
That didn't work the first time.
What are you doing? And then, as we said in the group and other bits, there has been incubator issues. I've lost a couple, but I think they were infertile, and then I lost 3 that were fully grown, but unfortunately died. And them 3 were absolutely stunning. They were massive. The babies were absolutely huge, but it didn't happen. But to me, that's life. I've always gone on. That's a live animal. You can't make that egg happen. You can do as much as you can, but you can't make that egg survive. If it's going to die, it's going to die. That's
absolutely.
You've done what you can.
Just because it's a reptile in an egg, they can still miscarry. They can still, you can have a human that's a week away from giving birth, and a tragedy could happen, and they could lose the child. Same with an egg. Like, I know a few people, myself, an egg's gone full term, and you're looking at a date like, oh, this egg's supposed to hatch any day now, and then 2 weeks later, maybe I should cut this. You cut it, and it's like, oh, what happened there then? Because it looks fully formed. It might have just died.
Yeah. Yeah, the first egg
died.
Yeah. Yeah, the first egg I had, it was from a white and yellow copper to the electric, the males there, the electric copper. And when it come out, I was like, oh. But unfortunately, it died. Absolutely gutting. But that's part of the hobby. You've got to take highs with lows with this with this hobby.
You're in it for the money.
It just feels like a job, I tell you that for a fact. But it's all part and parcel, I'm afraid. It's one of those.
How I see it, as somebody who's been doing it for a while now, is if somebody like Lucy just put a comment in with you, is if somebody's got their first season or second season and they have a terrible season and they've managed to have the mindset to push on, I know you're going to be around for a while. Because if you give up over the smallest of things, anything could happen. I could buy a gecko from America and it's been sold to me with no hets, and I pair it to something, and that whole project is ruined. You gotta just. I know it's annoying, and I know it's the worst thing ever. But if you can push past that, you're going to be here for a very, very long time. Every big breeder has had their problems. Every single big.
Yeah. A lot of people don't express it. You wouldn't go into, I don't know, you wouldn't go into somewhere and go, oh, you had a good season this season, and then turn around and go, no, I've lost all my stock.
Mm.
do you know what I mean? Any person that breeds animals like that won't tell you the bit behind where it's all the negative stuff. It's all positive. It's all, here I am. But no, there's a load of shit happening next door. Do you know what I mean? It's all there in no matter what hobby you do, fish world, bird world, it's all there. There's negativity in every hobby you do, and I mean every hobby you do.
Life's hard.
Life's hard in bits, but you learn to live with life. You have to move on. Do you know what I mean? But
what's your favourite line, Mike? What's your favourite line to work with? That's the question we got. So like, it might be copper, it might be clown. What's your favourite like?
Clowns. Clowns. I like the luck of bloods, and funny enough, the wife has brought me a blood tremper from Dave from DC Geckos. So I'll be picking her up from the show, and I'm going to have to sit down and see what I can put her with. I was looking at possible. Dave's got a nice amber super hypo, and then I went on to Barry Gardner's page and seen his blood hypos, and then I spoke to Dave, and he was like, "Yeah, if you do, there's some real nice stuff that you could produce through those hypos."
Molt in the chat, he's actually gone to America and met Barry himself. But yeah, continue. His stuff is.
But yeah, that's bloods I would like to work with next, and red diamonds. But I like the coppers. I like the tangerines. As I put in the group chat the other day, people that are doing het-free tangerine lines next year or the year after. What I would like to do in the upcoming future is possibly produce something of my own line.
Yeah.
Maybe. Hence the reason why it sounds wrong, but put everything together, put it all in the bowl, and see what you come out with. Like a pick and mix.
What you just said there is how clown was made. A clown was a mixture of everything thrown together. Believe it or not, clowns actually first originated, I believe it was a raptor paired to something. You know, this is how things happen. It's like Mike's green line. He hatched one. If he would have said to me that was a clown, I would have believed it. And that's the one Telma and Dan at Dynamite got. You know, it's all experimental. It's all try things. It's like, in my head, I'm thinking, and I know Mark's watching this and probably thinking as well, Red Diamond is Tremper. What's Red Diamond Bell going to be like? Do you know what I mean? Things like this do go through your head, and you think, "Oh, I wonder if I expect." I love crossing things because you don't know what you're going to get. If I pair a GNT to a GNT, I'm getting GNT. If I pair Black Knight to Black Knight, I'm getting Black Knight. If I pair a Clown to a Mandarin Tangerine, I know it's like you're going to get Clown cross at Mandarin Tangerine, but I don't know how they're going to come out like. That's why I love crosses. Yep.
You've got your pure lines, but
pure line.
That to me is almost like your Gucci. You know what I mean? You've got your Gucci lines, like your Black Knights. Sorry, Jay, but you've got those, and then you've got the ones that are down here that everybody's playing with. There's going to be a medium somewhere, and once you hit that medium, they're going to be the ones that people are going to like. Oh, like you said, the green lines, the red diamonds, I think was tangerine, blood, cross, this, that, and the other. And then someone else took the project on and added a little bit of sprinkle of this and a sprinkle of that. Actually. And they got a red diamond. They called it a red diamond. Do you know what I mean? It's all right. It's come from somewhere. Something's made it up. So it's just finding that little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then all of a sudden you go boom.
That's it.
boom. That's what I like. That's what keeps me going about this, is the fact that I know you've got to wait so long for next season, but it gives you a general idea of what you can, or what could possibly, or I'm really excited to see what that egg is.
Yeah.
That's what it's in for me. That's what I enjoy about it. As I said, it's not for the dollar.
What
I
I
go to work.
is
Dollar.
how many people out there, Mike, who breed reptile, like breed leopard geckos, but not breed it like we do, like as in breeding. But how many people out there have got a male or female normal as pets? They've paired it together and they've hatched something new, and they don't even know. I bet it happens so often. This is all this line breeding and you know, that's mutations happen from breeding son back to mum and mum back to uncle. That's how mutations pop, from us being idiots with it.
Yeah.
The truth be told.
Think
What's
out
going
the
on,
box.
man? What's going on, Kevin?
But yeah, that's the enjoyment for me. Come home, go down there. Oh, what can I put with this? Oh, you've changed colour. Oh, this, that, and the other, and everything's changing every day. It's the excitement of seeing stuff. Like I had this male from Dave himself, and this guy, I can't get him out. But yeah, again, he was in the video the other day, and this guy is the copper electric.
Oh, nice.
And he is the father of a couple of hatchlings that I've got up on the table now.
Pardon me, everyone.
I've one of them. But
Nice.
he's an absolute, same again, mate. He's absolute, 85 grams he is.
Yeah.
And I don't feed him either. 85 grams. He's a unit. And as I said, he's father of a lot of the hatchlings that I had this year. I put him against two copper trempers. And then just to see what I get. I know people will be like, oh, but it's copper tremper, you can have copper trempers. Right? But they all come out different. Yeah, I've got some that look like mum, I've got some that look like dad.
Yeah.
That happens.
Right. Even though if you're pairing a Max Snow to a Max Snow, I know you're going to get supers in that, but you do get different variants. You'll get you could get a super that hatch out of a stripe. I know.
And then I got
nice.
this one. This one is actually, she gets orange and orange each time. She just don't keep still now. None of them will. But same again. This girl is on my page.
She available?
No. No. I think there's two that I've kept from this clutch that I'm keeping. The rest I will pass on. The reason is I kept them because they're a bit different, and we'll see. We will see what comes out of that one. And then there's
this is what's fun. It's a hobby. Just do it humanely, and just have fun. Just have fun.
You will get more. You get more enjoyment if you do it properly. You will get more enjoyment. If you do it to a point where I've got a rack, I've got 12 geckos, I've bred all these baby geckos, I want to sell them all now.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. When I first started, I thought it was about numbers. I was looking at Dave, and I was looking at Michael Edge, and I'm looking at Chris Flavelle, and I'm thinking, they've got all these geckos, they're producing all these geckos. I want to be like that, but I'm not thinking. It's not about what you're producing. Produce. If you want to work with Max, try and produce the best Max you can possibly produce, and just have fun. It's not about numbers.
No, it's quality. You've got to produce quality animals. If you say you were a farmer and you produced crap cows, beef burgers, people won't buy your cows. You breed good, strong animals, people will be like, wow, quality.
They come back, they recommend.
They will come back, and they'll go, oh, have you got a male that I can put with that? And you're like, yeah. Talk through them. Talk it through them with them. Right, what are you going to do with the hatchlings? What are you actually going to do this for? Get them to relay back to you, and then you'll get to understand the customer, and the customer will understand a lot more. It's all right going on to Tinterweb and having a look there, but not in a funny way. It's got everyone's opinion. and everyone's an arsehole because everyone's got an opinion.
Yeah.
But you will get an answer from one person, a different answer from him down the road, a different answer from him across there, and then you'll get a different answer altogether from a pet shop.
Yeah.
So you've got to be in it to understand not consequences per se, but you've got to understand what you're producing is possibly 10 babies that then you've got to rehome. That was my major concern when I started breeding everything and anything that I sort of had. It was the same when I had African pygmy hedgehogs. We bred those. I had 10 of those. I had 10 little prickly things. But at the time, I didn't do it for the money. It was the experience. And with those, you could only have 2 litters from a female in her lifetime.
Yeah.
So we looked at it and we saw that there was people. It's going to sound difficult, but people that wanted hedgehogs and they were willing to look after them. So we sort of vetted everybody that come and brought one. We asked for pictures of the setup, what they knew, before we'd even consider. So we had a waiting list for 2 years.
Jeez.
We were producing some nice little hedgehogs, man. They're really, really nice. But as I said, they all had to go when life got shit. But yeah, they were experienced. They were a different animal. But yeah, I've always had something for geckos. I don't know what it is. From the big stuff that I've had, such as the roughneck monitors, the boss monitors, the blue tail monitors. I've had all those. But I've always fallen back for geckos. And I've still got a thing for royal pythons. I don't know what it is. The only thing that's stopping me with royal pythons is the market scene. Still on. But the thing that's stopping me that way is the market for me is flooded.
Yeah.
So if I did have them, they would be just basic. They would be pets, and I could say, I've got my. This is what I've wanted. This is what I've got. Great. It's a pet for me. I don't mind. It's not a problem. If I could breed and I knew I could move the hatchlings on, that would be fine for me as well. But if not, it'd just be a pet. It would be.
Very similar to, I'm not like animal-wise. Maybe the reason why you really like ball pythons is because of, if there's anything genetically wise close to Leos, would be royals, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's a similar, very, very similar. Yeah.
Lots of heads. The only thing with royals, you don't have the albino issue. You ain't got 3 snows you can't pair together. I think with royals, you got, I think it's spider. You can't. That's the sort of the no is spider morph. That's sort of it really, from what I know. Yeah. I had royals. I found them so ungrateful. That's why I got rid of them.
Well, funny, I never had an issue with a royal. Everyone else seemed to, because people used to bring them to me.
Yeah.
And
maybe you're just good at handling. I do think they can sense fear, because I'm opening the tub like that. Do you know what I mean? So that's
straight in. Straight in. Mate, you come waving your hands at me, I'm going to slap it. Do you know what I mean? It's straight in. Because, yeah, you've got to think from a defensive point of view. You're going in shaking like a shitting dog. Yeah. This thing's going, oh, are you food, or are you just going to piss me off? Yeah. Have it. But
rules, whenever they strike, whenever they sort of strike, it was sort of like, it wasn't aggressive. It was literally like a piss off. It was like go away.
Yeah, I generally found that as well. They don't tend to go with their mouths open unless it is food. It's more of a headbutt, a blunt one, if that. But yeah, as you can see, same again. It's colour wise. I follow a gentleman that lives in Birmingham. Balls to you, 2014 on Instagram. Gavin, yeah. And I follow his page all day long, and I'm like, oh, he's like 30 minutes down the road. I'll just have a look what he's got available, and I'm like, oh, that's really nice, or oh, that's really, or what's this? Oh, it's like $4,000. Oh, I'll leave that one. But same again, they're forever producing stuff like there's no tomorrow. So same again, if I went into that side of it, it'd be a case of I would like to produce something that I've not had. But then also I've got to think about moving on any excess or finding new homes and all that sort of stuff. So as long as I can find new homes, I'll happily breed them. I'll happily carry on. But as I said, that market for me is a bit saturated. I think I was talking to Jason about it the other week because he's got some royals. But yeah, it's a bit flooded. Even though I'm tempted to go, oh yeah, and then with Donny coming up, it's a bit like, oh no, they're all going to be there. I'm going to be on a free leash. It's going to be like, oh, stop yourself.
Well, you're well into geckos now, so I'm pretty sure you're going to see geckos and be like, oh, I've got something for you.
Yeah, this is the other issue. I've got to stop buying. But then also, I've looked at Brazilian rainbow boas as well, as I spoke to Ollie and Els.
Yeah, stunning one they got.
They're looking to produce some off her female. And when I was growing up with a kid, we had Brazilians, me and a mate, we went halves on a pair, never put them together. But same again, they're absolutely lovely animals, lovely colours. And I'd definitely have one of those tomorrow if I could.
Just as a pet?
So, as a pet, I take a lot. It's like, how can I put it? People thought I brought all these animals back in the day to breed, to make loads of money, but to me it was like, you can't get these animals off the street. Because when I was a kid, I used to catch grasshoppers, used to catch butterflies, moths, caterpillars, frogs, the lot. I used to box them up, and I used to sit on the lawn with a shopping basket upside down, and I used to sell them all to the kids on the estate.
Quick thinking.
Well,
what a snail,
yeah, different coloured snails, your slugs, all that jazz. I was like, oh, put it in a tub.
I shouldn't be laughing because my sister's watching this, and me and my sister, we had a thing for snails. We had African snails. We did something about snails.
Yeah.
I remember one day was in like an estate. It was called Heston, and it was going through the bushes, and we saw a yellow-shelled snail. Man, yeah. We were like, we hit the jackpot here, Taylor. Yeah.
That's it. Get it, box it, sold it to the kids on the estate. They used to come round every Saturday morning because they obviously did odd jobs around the house.
What other snails you got?
Yeah, got different colours. Yeah, I have, mate. Yeah, I've got all these. I remember the day we went to a pond and we had a 5-foot fish tank in the living room. We filled it full of water. Went to this pond, netted every single tadpole that was in this pond, dumped them in the fish tank at home, put a light on it, and just watched these tadpoles for ages.
Yeah.
And then obviously they all turned into frogs. So we had to move them pretty sharpish. But we took them back to the pond that we got them from. And that's what I used to do with general animals. You say, oh, we'll put that in a tub.
Fascinated. Yeah.
Yeah. I have been ever since I've been a nipper. Do you know what I mean? It's always been, oh, how does this work? Or what's that? Or what's this? Or how does that grow? Or what does that change into?
Yeah.
That's what I used to do. And now, I don't know if you can see it, but we also collect dead.
We collect dead bodies.
Yeah, because with dead ones, you can keep hundreds of them in a box. I don't need all this room, all this eating, all these bills. Keep dead ones. But yeah, it's I've just always been fascinated with it. And then obviously with the butterflies and stuff that I pin and do into artwork and all that stuff, that's almost like the other side of, oh, I've got a load of live stuff and I also mess with dead stuff. Do you know what I mean? It's all a hobby.
I feel like it's like we're all got this part in our brain where we're like almost one with nature almost. It's like when I go out with my boys, let's say we're out going to the club or something and I step on a snail, I go, oh, sorry, mate. But my mates go, it's a fucking snail.
Yeah.
I go, I feel bad. Like, he's pissing off into a bush and I've just stood on him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I just think like how people that are in this hobby who really like animals or are fascinated by animals, I just feel like we're differently minded.
Yeah. We went when we was kids, my mate first passed his driving test and he had a Mini. So he was taking it down the lanes and everything. And we heard like, he was just rolling down this lane because we couldn't see anything. And it was like, can you hear that popping noise? And it was like, yeah, it sounds like it's outside. So I got out of the car, looked, and it was frogs, newts, the lot on this. And I was like, oh my God, we've actually run over David Attenborough's frigging basket full of frogs and newts and all that. And I was like, we can't go on. We couldn't turn around. So there I was, gently pushing.
There's you. Give it all CPR.
Yeah, come on, move out of the way. Come on, you're going to get run over. And I was like, and I ain't being funny, it went on for 100 yards, this frigging migration of frogs and newts. It was like animals of farthing wood. I was expecting the fox to come out and the owl to come down. But I was like, you can't run these things over. They're just doing what they naturally do, and some twats put a road there. So, yeah, we went down, shifted them out of the way. We went to the chip shop to have some fish. But, yeah, it's always been there for me. And I think, because my family still question me, I went, we don't know where you get this side from. I was like, nor do I. I've got no idea. But I know that my nan and granddad used to go bird watching and they were interested in their animals and all that sort of stuff. So unless it come from them, I don't know. But as a family, we've always had animals, dogs, cats, parrots. I had a parrot once. Yeah, he was a good little shit.
Yeah, we had African grey.
Yeah, I did as well.
The thing, my dad used to go mental because it learnt the McDonald's theme tune. So every 5 minutes he'll go, my dad will go, shut up!
Well, when we had a German Shepherd as well, and I used to do a distinct whistle for the dog. And of course the parrot picked this up. So the parrot used to whistle the dog. The dog used to walk in and go, yeah. And then he used to give the eye to the parrot as if to say,
was that you?
As it was you, wasn't it? And the parrot used to look at him and go,
yes, it was.
You know what I mean? Yeah, sort of taking the piss. But the parrot used to feed the dog as well. They used to share food. So you give it a biscuit. The parrot used to bite it in half, and then just used to chuck the other half to the dog. And the dog was like, oh, yeah, I've got a biscuit here. I was like, yeah, thanks, parrot. But yeah, as I said, array of animals I've always had. Stick insects was the other one. Pac-Man frogs, mossy frogs, red-eyed tree frogs, normal white tree frogs. I've had a collection of everything because it just all fascinates me. Absolutely fascinates me to bits. It's a shame to see pet shops not doing what they should be doing, which is also encouraging people to not only to have animals, but to feel the love for that animal. As I said, my first was 2 iguanas, and the guy in PetSmart back in the day was happy enough to sell me 2 iguanas that were going to get to 6 foot long. I knew how big they were. We knew what was coming. We had a shed and everything for it, so we knew what was coming. But he was happy to go, yeah, and you get a discount because you brought 2.
He didn't care about the animal at all. He just wanted to sale with that. And shops, and don't get me wrong, not all shops are bad. Shops have this vicious cycle where they know the person's animal is going to die. They're going to come back and get a replacement. And it's a vicious circle. You know what I'm talking about. And
a lot of stuff back then was generally wild caught. A lot of it was back in the 90s. That's when it all kicked off, and now everything, as we said, it's all captive bred stuff. But a lot of the pet shops just weren't interested. It was, oh, do you want to buy this? I was like, yeah, it gets to frigging 6 foot long and 10 foot wide. So who knows? In Cannock Chase, there might be a 40-foot iguana running around that jumped out my window. I don't know. But yeah, back then they just didn't give a monkeys, and now it's just worse. It's almost like we've got to stock it because we sell the equipment for it. And it's like, no, to be honest, you should be selling that animal with somebody that knows what they're selling to somebody that's dedicated to wanting that animal. And what I've noticed now previously in pet shops is a lot of prices have gone up, which to me isn't a bad thing, because then, what was it I saw? It was a red-bearded dragon, and it was up for £189, which to me I know is steep, but and you can get them cheaper from, say, breeders. But if you was looking for a bearded dragon and you really wanted a bearded dragon, and you was willing to pay nearly 200 quid plus accessories
You're
and
most
everything,
likely going to look after it, yeah.
you are going to look after it.
And
The same reason.
If it dies, I'll get another one.
Exactly. 30 quid. Out of sight, out of mind. What's it matter? Do you know what I mean? But the prices have gone up slightly, but you still get the competitive people that are like, oh, it's 30 quid. And you're like, yeah, but if you put your prices up, people will be like, oh, paying extra. So you buy a 50 grand car, mate, you're going to look after it.
100%.
You buy a 500 car.
I don't want this to offend anybody, but I personally don't agree with giveaway geckos, because of that gecko that's been given away. That person, if it dies or if it's not doing too well, that didn't cost me anything. That's how I see it. Whereas if someone's spent money on something, they're more inclined to look after, because of that cost me 200 quid. Where, oh, that's a free giveaway gecko. Oh, don't worry about that. Do you know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. I know. It's the same when people come up to free home.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've got to move my gecko on. PM me. But that's right. But how do you know that person's kept that gecko right? And as I said,
yeah,
that's my opinion. If you don't like it, you don't like it. You've got to look at the people that you're also passing that animal on to. Like, we've got a cat. We acquired a cat. My good wife wanted a cat. I didn't want a cat personally, unless it was something massive. But we had a cat from a friend because it didn't get on with their cat. So we've had this cat. We asked all about it and everything else. And then we had the paperwork through from the chip company, and they stated in the email, rang the owners because they moved house, rang the owners no longer wanted the cat. I was like, what? So they moved out and they don't want the cat anymore? Why? What stopped them from taking the cat? The cat's been with them since whenever. And they don't want the poor thing. Do you know what I mean?
That's bad. Especially, like, I know with everything's an animal, but like a gecko and a cat's different, isn't it? You have that attachment. You know, it's like my dog. If someone said to me tomorrow, you got to either rehome all your geckos or you're losing your dog, I'll see you later. I'm out in the hobby. So with things like dogs and cats, it just like you just said. They've probably had that cat for so many years, had it as a kitten, they've decided to move, and we don't want it anymore. I don't get that.
Yeah. And it's the same with geckos to a point. People will be like, it's costing me too much in electricity. I've got to feed it. Oh, we'll just give it away. Mm. To who? To what? To where?
Yeah.
And that's, in one sense, also does affect the hobby, because people are like, well, I've got this gecko and this is what's happened to it, so why should I buy one from you? Same again, you potentially haven't bought it from a breeder who's dedicated to its animals or gives a monkeys about its animals. You've just brought or had a gecko that was possibly ill when you had it, and you just didn't do anything about it, or they went, oh, I've got to take it to the vets. It's costing me 75 quid just for an interview. To go and see him, it's cost me 75 quid, and then I've got to give you antibiotics, have it, and it's costing me this, that, and the other, and it's like, yeah, well, that's part of it. Mm. Imagine if you have to pay for health service.
Surely, as humans, we always have to go to the doctors or a hospital at some point. Same with an animal. When you buy these animals, you've got to think in the back of your head, okay, things do go wrong. Same with breeding. When you breed animals, you've got to think that, you might have a male that decides to bite a hole in your female's neck. You need to keep in the back of your head that it's an animal and they do get ill and things do go wrong. So, you've got to be prepared to... And this is another thing that comes down when we got all these geckos like myself, you need to be prepared that, things go wrong. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it's like those tests I did that I sent off. They cost me about 25 quid each.
Yeah.
So that was three tests at 25 quid each. So... Do you know what I mean? It's like you got 100 geckos because you've gone, I'm going to go big.
Yeah.
100 times 25, mate.
Cost, yeah.
If you've got that in your back pocket, you're doing freaking well. But a lot of people can't do that, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
But that's part and parcel of the hobby as well. A lot of people think, oh, you can just keep a gecko, you won't need to take it to the vets. It'll be all right where it is. It's doing what it should be doing. No.
Anything, yeah. If fish happens to fish, happens,
Oh.
absolutely anything. It's like my old man. He does marine fish. And
Oh, yeah.
happened, he's had white spot and it's taken out the whole thing. It's like, or he's bought a fish from the aquarium and the water had copper in it and he's got all corals dying. And I'm not into all my marine, but he's very. If he buys a fish or buys a coral, it's very, very rare now because he sees it as a big risk.
Yeah.
Anyway, I've got a question here, Mike.
Sorry. Yeah, carry on.
Where did the name Mr. G Breeder come from? Like, to me, how I read Mr. G Breeder, to me that's it reads, because Amber went, I thought his name's Mike, and I said, Mr. Gecko Breeder? Hey, is that what it is, Mr. G Breeder?
My name is Michael Robinson. So I took my first initials and went, MR. So I will go Mr. Gecko Breeder. See, because as you said, you had CF Gecko, you had DC Gecko, and I went, Mr. G.
G Breeder.
Yeah, there we go. So that's where the name come from. But yeah, great question. I thought when it would be asked, because I sit there sometimes and think, no one's asked you where this name's come from yet.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
I thought it was just Mr. Gecko Breeder, but now that's even clever. No, must my initials, yeah. If there was a thing you could keep and or remove, name a thing you would keep and remove in the hobby.
Keep great people. Remove horrible people.
Easy.
But yeah, if there's anything I could remove, really, not really. I think in the hobby, I think it needs a lot more people to get involved and understand animals. But as I said, I'd remove negativity from people because we're all in the same hobby doing the same thing. Yeah, people don't get on. You just move on. Move on. Because it brings you down as a person. Then if you generally think, I hate that person, all you think about then is the hate for that person. You lose interest in your hobby. Yeah, you've got your mates who have backed you up and gone, yeah, I hate him as well. Brilliant. That's great. But you've got to move on or else you'll just lose the love for the animals and the hobby and think, I won't do this anymore. I ain't going over there because that's going or this is happening. And, do you know what I mean? It's, I'm not going to that nightclub because that bouncer hates me.
Yeah.
No, mate, I'm going to that nightclub because I'm going to dance.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I'm not going for that bouncer. I'm going to that nightclub to dance.
Yeah.
And that's the way I see it. There is too much negativity. There's a lot, as I said before, it's in the bird world, the fish world, any sort of world you join, it's all there. It's all there. People hate you because you bred this. People hate you because you said this.
Yeah, it's the same as if you was a footballer, you're crap because you play for.
Oh, look at all the shit the England players got. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's some guy sitting in Saudi Arabia.
I know.
Oh, you're all this, that, and you're. Well, you're really that big, mate. You've got to sit behind a frigging computer and do it. Well, I like to be upfront with people, to be honest. I'm transparent with me. I'm transparent with you. I'll tell you.
Yeah.
But that's what it should be. And do I go to bed at night? Do I wake up in the morning? Yeah. Has it stopped me from doing what I want to do? No. Let's plod on, mate. Life's too short. Seen it happen to a lot of people.
Yeah,
give it up.
We've had conversations, and I've said, "Oh, mate, I've had enough," sort of thing. You're like, just ignore it, just move on.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing with your geckos. Everyone's not going to get on. It's just how life is, and just.
I've always looked at it as well. Sorry to interrupt, but
that's right, mate.
If I didn't know you and the guys in the forum and the rest of it, I'd still be carrying on, regardless. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those, and yeah, when you start talking to people and someone does disagree with you, that's what sticks in your head then, because it's easier to spread negativity than it is a none. Do you know what I mean? It's
like, because I do building work, I could do 1,000 good jobs, but everyone will remember the one bad one I did. It's a
Yeah, like
shame.
the one you posted me the other day.
You dick. Yeah, you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Yeah,
People
yeah,
are not really interested in the positives. They like if I say to someone, "Oh, Jay's Black Knights." Sorry, Jay, for making you an example. You're my boy. You understand?
yeah.
Jay's
Why
Black
not?
Knights are
That's the point.
incredible. Best this, best that. But if I turn around and went, "Oh, he's got parasites in his collection." That's what will stick in everyone's head. Not the he's got incredible geckos. They keep the George said he had parasites in. Do you know what I mean?
And as I said to you before, when you've got a guy that's got 100 geckos up front, but then he's had shit at the back and not told you about that, you see him for, oh yeah, look at all his geckos, are fabulous, but he hasn't told you about the stuff at the back because he knows that seeing you, you'll go, oh, has he told you he's had issues down there? That's why I was open with you guys when I had those 3 that died.
Yeah, no, straight up.
I want to know why, but then also I'm telling you guys because it happens.
100%.
I know of a boa breeder back in the day. He was top end boa breeder, and he was selling stuff out of his collection that had, I can't remember what the disease was called, but they did stargaze. It was classed as stargazing. So your snake could just swizzle all the way to the ceiling and whatnot. But he was still selling his boas, knowing that he had this, and then all of a sudden, bang, gone off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
But you're not being open with your customer, hence why he's gone hit the fan. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
I've always found it transparent. If you're open with me, I'll be open with you, and I will be open with anybody, to be honest. But as I said, you'll never upset me to a point where I'll jack it in because this is what I want to do.
And you've been doing it for such a long time as well. You started in the nitty gritty. You started when you got them 2 iguanas. I can imagine the information on them was shocking at the time.
Yeah. The books, everything I read was American. So all the books and the pet shops were in American, and this is what you need. And there was vibs that aren't made to standard today. They were just pieces of wood put together with some slidey doors on. The heating system was a ceramic dish or cover. Funny enough, I found that they use them in the fish and chip shops, to keep all your chicken warm and all your fish warm.
Yeah.
And ceramic heaters, they use them in there, and you had to wire them yourself. You had to put tape on yourself.
Fire risk, man.
Jesus Christ! I says, I've got this in my bedroom. I says, yeah, I've got to wire this myself. It called me ceramic blocks to screw stuff in and all the wires. And you was just thinking, Christ, am I going to electrocute myself or the animals or whatnot? It was interesting. As I said, I followed the IHS when they were doing shows down Rodbaston College down by me in Penkridge. They were doing them down there, and I used to go in there. And this is where people say, "Oh, you flipped stuff." So I used to buy corn snakes that wasn't eating for £5. £5, right? Take them home, spent the time and the effort feeding them, getting them to weight, and then I went back to the pet shop and I sold them on. But as I said to you before, that money that I got back then from the pet shop was a credit note. So I went, yeah, here's 100 quid worth of corn snakes. They were like, oh, these are amazing. Here's your credit note. So each week I would go in and buy my frozen. I'd buy bedding.
You get all your food, your bulbs and stuff like that for free. So yeah.
But people saw me doing it. They took the wrong took the wrong way and thought I was making loads of money. Oh, don't buy from him. And I was like, no.
Well, essentially, what you're doing is you've got this animal that it's pretty much been its class is done. It's finished with. It ain't feeding. Yeah. And you've got this animal. There's a YouTuber called Go Herpin, and he does this. He goes on Craigslist or Pre-Loved, gets his geckos that are up for a tenner, really bad nick. He feeds them, brings them up to weight, and you sell them for 30 quid. He's not earned anything from that. All the food and everything. Do you know what I mean? It's like I know a woman, she's probably similar age to you on the courier, and she told me a story that back in the 90s, they used to give her loads of corn snakes, ball pythons. A lot was wild caught back in the day. And she said, when the shop couldn't get them feeding, it was, we're done with them. And she used to do what you did. She used to assist feed them, get them feed by themselves, and she will find them good homes. Or exactly.
Well, I enjoyed doing that. I knew that there's an animal there that needed some sort of help, or we could work with this animal. And I had some beautiful animals to next to nothing because the breeder was like, oh, I've got to sell it end of season. I need the room for next season. And as I said, I was going in and buying these corn snakes at like £5. I was coming home with like loads and loads. I was like, oh, what have I done here? But I'd spend the time feeding, getting it up to weight, make sure everything was good. Stay there. Everything was good and everything was well. And I'd flip it to help me with my hobby, to help me feed my clan. Do you know what I mean? I had a lot of, so like I was having berms that were eating piglets, extra large rabbits. So I had to buy those from the shop. And they're not cheap. Do you know what I mean? £8-9.
Yeah.
Bags of mealworms, crickets, oppers. And doing that on a weekly basis, as I know as a hobbyist, can build up. It does build up. You've seen the prices of stuff, of live food, etc. But it all builds up when you've got a big array of animals and you've got a big collection going on that you just keep. I'll just answer that question, sorry. Hi, Sonia. I'm from Cannock in Staffordshire. But yeah, it costs. This is what people don't see. People don't see the electricity bill that you have to pay. People don't see your food bill. People don't see that your eggs might not come through. People don't see your animals dying suddenly. They all just think you buy animals, you breed them, you make a lot of money out of it.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen, I'm afraid. If it did, we'd all be fucking millionaires, wouldn't we? We won't be sitting here doing these lives, mate. I'll be in Spain.
100%.
But no,
you up for some more questions? You ready for this?
You belt them out.
Mate, I'm gagging for a week, so I'm going to give you this question once, and I've got to go. How many geckos did you start with? I'm new to breeding. What would you recommend? So I'll let you answer that to the world while I go and I will wash my hands too.
Good lad. Right, so I started generally as pet geckos. I knew what genes there were. I knew what they were, what they could go with. If you're new to breeding, I would possibly suggest a 1-1 or a 1-2. But as I said to George earlier, I would make sure that you've got somewhere that you can move the hatchlings onto. Potentially you could have anything from 10 to 20 new hatchlings. It's an experience. I say do it. Do it. Absolutely do it. Get involved. A lot of information out there. Speak to other breeders. There is breeders out there that will help you. There's some that won't. That's just the way people are. But some will help you through the way. You might come to it and go, oh, I don't like this breeding lark anymore. Right, I won't. I'll sell what I've got, but I'll keep the others as pets. It does happen. I've seen people go full ball and go, oh, look at all these babies they're producing. Look at all this money they're making. Doesn't work. It doesn't work like that. If you want to do it as an experience, I say do it as an experience. It's fun. It's exciting. It's the way. If you're into your nature, if you're into your animals, I say do it. I'd breed anything. I would. I seriously would. But yeah, but make sure that you can move those babies on once you've produced. But don't give up doing it. Do it. Honestly, it's such a buzz, such a buzz to go, I've produced this little baby. It was this big when I brought it. It's this big now, and I'm producing these. Yeah. That's what it's about. That's what it should be about. But you do get the people that go, if I put this one with this one and I produce albinos, will I get £60 an albino? I was like,
yeah, you're in for the wrong.
I don't know, mate. I don't know. I don't know the market today, tomorrow. It could all change. Something could happen. Boom, all the breeders could disappear. It could be 3 of us left in the world, and then you're charging loads of money. But we don't know what's going to happen. We don't know the market because
if you're not opening up the incubator and going, yes, don't bother. Stop.
No. If you're looking at an animal,
normal gets me like that.
Just a baby. Do you know what I mean? Poking its head out. I've done something right there. Do you know what I mean? Because as I said, the normal could come out like these did, and then 3 months, 4 months down the line, they've gone, we're actually orange. And then as many people will put on there, like Calvin did from Hot Wheels geckos, I believe. Brummy, David Attenborough, Brummy with his birds. He put on there, he's passed on a lot of hatchlings, and he was like, moved them on. People have gone, oh, look at this. And he's gone, oh shit, I shouldn't really got rid of that one.
Yeah.
But I know that he's had health issues. But some of his stuff is absolutely stunning because he selectively breeds. He hasn't bred much this season, but the stuff that he has, stunning. And that's, to me, that's what it could be, should be.
Yeah.
You selectively breed, saying back to that question, afford the best quality geckos you can. See a plan of what, don't plan. I hate planning. Send you do like that planning. Just get on with it. See what you like. Think, I could put that with that. Let's see what we get. Reverting back to where we started the conversation, see what you get. Do you know what I mean?
100%.
Put that one. I
fun.
like the look of that one. As long as the genes go, as long as the colours go, I'll put that one and that one and that one and that one. But don't be ever disappointed with what comes out of that egg, because that's what you're in it for. That's what you want to do it for, is to see that progression of, you've put two animals together. So in theory, you're playing God, I like to call it, which you are. And then you've produced this. You then, as God, has got to look after all the hatchlings that come out, but also you've got to go, wow, that's what it's about for me. Yeah. Absolutely fabulous. Don't get me wrong, it does get a bit worrying. I've got a hatchling here, and she came from a pair that I brought from CF Geckos, Chris Flavel. And it was
Chris Flavel. He sounds like a bloody fish.
Oh, man. Flavel. Yeah, he does, yeah. Flavel number 5, yeah. But I produced it. So I put this hat. Oh, bye. You going to wash your hands?
No, man. Just going to show off for Christy.
But I put the pair together, and I was like, yeah. The female, she laid me 4 eggs, and I nearly, look at that, glow.
Yeah, he's a beast. There was someone on my last live that kept asking, can I see your main male? Got a head on him.
Triangle. Yeah, they are. They are stunning. And I won't lie, I have had Cresties before.
Oh, yeah?
And they vanished. So I kept them in a vivarium. They were honestly, they were tiny. And one day I went in and they were sitting on the wall in the shed. I was like, oh, you got out. So I was like, right, put them back. And then, I don't know. That, to me, when they're bigger, they're a lot me. I do like them. I do like the colours. I like is it the black ones, the Anthristic?
Exantic, yeah.
Exantics. Yeah, I do like them. They are stunning. Look at him. But yeah, as I said, I put these geckos together. So it's Tangerine, Het, Radar, I think they were, or Het, Eclipse. And when the egg hatched, the baby come out, and the same again, it's on my Insta and it's on the Facebook page. She come out like almost like a pure white, and she was thin. She was absolutely tiny, and I thought, oh no, I've got something going on here. I was like, what do I do? I didn't want to handle her, didn't want to touch her. So I managed to get her into a tub of her own. And then it's getting that process to get eating and all that jazz. And I was like, eat, you've shed, you've pooed, eat. And then, funny, I put pictures on the other day, I'm sure I did. But you're not going to get, she's absolutely stunning. And what I like, she's got, you little sod. She's tangerine, but she's got purple lines down her side. You can just see them on there, and then she's got the purple patch on there. But her eyes are absolutely
either side.
And it's on both sides. And the fact that she's come out tangerine, and I don't know.
She's nice.
And this was the one that survived, the smallest one. Yet the big one didn't make it at all. But she come out pure white. She didn't open her eyes for several days because I think everything was just too bright. But But yeah, she was an absolute star. And as I said, she's putting on weight now. But it was just those purple lines that she's got down both sides and on the back of her eyes. So she's still got her blue eyes.
Oh, they're red.
Do you know what I mean? And then as you can see, there's just a bit of purple there and then the purple down her back. But as I said, there's pictures of her on my Facebook and Instagram. But I'm keeping this one as well because I had a radar male, I think, from KLG that I believe she had from yourself. And she moved it on because it wasn't part of her plans. But I had him and she was like, oh, he's a fussy eater. But I don't know what it is. He come here, mate, he eats like a gannet. But he's put loads of weight on now. And he is yellow with a white tail.
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, bang, put him together with her, see what we get. Because Dad, to that one that I've just shown, he's like a pale tangerine. He's almost like the inside of an orange peel.
Yeah.
It's like a pith colour.
Got you.
And she sort of picked that sort of colour up as well. No, I think that's where she got it when she was hatchling.
Right.
So, but now the tangerine's coming out. Yeah, she's a stunner, to be honest. I didn't produce many bells. As I said, I only put so many females into breeding this season. So next season, the other half will go into breeding. I like to give them a swap and a change and a break.
Also, you got some special stuff coming in, so next season should be fire.
Let's hope so.
I've seen some of the stuff you said you've got or going to be getting. So I think it's going to be a crazy season for you next year for sure.
Oh, yeah. It will be. With the stuff that I'm thinking about and the way that I want to go, yeah, if it works out, fantastic. If it doesn't, fantastic. Because as I said, the stuff that will come off it will be, oh, wow. Yeah, it's possibly a normal tangerine, maybe. Who knows? But to me, it's still a gecko. But to you guys, it might be like, oh, wow, he's producing something. See, because as I've always said it with art, people look at art differently to how the artist looks at it. To me, these are my geckos, and I think they're fantastic. To someone else, they might be like, oh my days, look at the state of that. And I'm like, yeah, it's just my gecko.
Everyone has different taste, don't they? Like Chloe loves green. Jay hates green. Jay goes for me, if I hatch infernos with green, you and Chloe will be taking them on, sort of thing. You know, everyone has their own taste. Like you said, if you can get, I don't know, two different artists show each other different work and they're like, ooh, what's that? Yeah. Everyone has different taste.
Totally. Absolutely, totally. But some of the mixes I've had this year, I would like to possibly put them against lines next year, maybe. Mm-hmm. Some of the stuff that I see Junior Geckos is watching, some of the stuff he put on the other day I followed. Great. Yeah, some nice stuff. Absolute nice stuff. So I did speak to him the other day. I messaged him after the live, actually. And yeah, hopefully. Who knows? Who knows?
Well, there's definitely going to be a big shipment in December time, and this is for everyone watching as well. It goes through Jay, so big up Jay. And I know there's going to be a shipment from Europe, and there's going to be a shipment from, I believe, Japan, and a shipment from USA. So it's around about December time. If anyone's got animals from them locations they really want to get involved, you can, sort of thing. So even you, Mike, if you're a fan, you've probably spent enough. That's why you put the headphones in.
He's only next door. But yeah, as I said, we'll see what comes the next season. I don't like calling it planning. As I said, it'll do your fruiting. Planning anything does your fruiting because you always go a bit anxious, a bit, ooh, fucking hell, I've got to stick to that plan. You haven't, not with breeding geckos. The only plan you've got to stick to is make sure that you can move those hatchlings on. And I'll say it continuously, whether you like it or not, make sure they've got houses to go to or you've got room to keep them all.
My little ring light dropped. Even me, I've got a backup plan that there's a guy called, he sometimes comes on the live, and I think Chloe knows him. His name's Ed, and he's 19 years old. He's got himself a little reptile shop, and I've had a conversation with him. If I ever get stuck with some geckos that I do need to free up some space, and he said, yeah, we will take him on. I've gone to his shop, my courier. I think what he does is exceptional. So, you know, there's backup. That's my last resort. His name's Ed Exotics. I believe he's not far from you. Where is it? Telford?
Yeah, the boys from Telford. Yeah.
He's a really nice young lad. He's actually had a few geckos offer me. I've wholesaled to him. So it's always good to keep in your back in your mind that just speak to some like decent shops and say, look, if I'm breeding leopard geckos. If I ever do get stuck with them, would you be able to take them and move them on? Because reptile shops, they move them on like crazy. You don't really realise how quick.
Well, I was meant to speak to him the other week. I spoke to him a few weeks ago because he had a trio of red-eyed crocodile skunks, which I've also kept before. I also had white-lipped pythons as well. All these things just keep coming back to me now on what I've actually kept. But yeah, he had a trio of those, and then I asked him, and he went, "They've gone." And I'm like, "But they're just so nice." But yeah, I meant to get in touch with him as well. There is a pet shop. I say pet shop, it's a garden centre down by me, and I started buying reptiles from them when I first started. And I spoke to a guy the other day, and he was like, "I don't care what it is, I'll only pay X amount." It's not very helpful when you know that I know a breeder. Well, I don't know the breeder, but I know somebody who takes them down there, and he gives them pennies, absolute pennies for them, and you're just like
£8 for a leopard gecko. Doesn't matter the morph because they don't give a shit. It's just a gecko to them. So if you do think of literally wholesaling the last resort, because I could take him a £1,000 black knight, and to him that's just a leopard gecko.
Yeah, I'll give you £12 for it.
Yeah, I'll sell it a bit different. Have £15 credit.
Well, everything in there is twice the price of credit. Yeah.
Get 2 tubs of locusts. It's like, what the hell?
They're half dead because they're from last week. But yeah, it's not the way I want to go. But I also know a couple of shops in Birmingham as well that are willing to pay, that they know that they won't have to then ship from abroad, etc., and they know where they come from. Because I brought from the guy before and sold back to the guy before. So yeah, it's as I said, it's a last resort, but also I know they're a pet shop that will look after them. Funny enough, talking the venomous, he sells venomous in his shop. So yeah, it's always one of those.
Background with, because I know in the conversation I think it was the WhatsApp group the other day, and we're talking about venomous stuff. Have you dealt with any venomous stuff?
I personally haven't kept any. I know a gentleman that did have a large collection. He had a large collection of venomous stuff. He also had caiman, eyelash vipers, gaboon vipers. He had a spitting cobra. Pygmy rattlesnakes, western diamondbacks, tree vipers. Yeah, and he had a tiny king cobra. Wow, no, that's a beast. That is something. That is absolute. Especially when you're feeding him dead snakes. Do you know what I mean? That is a beast. This guy's chopping up.
They almost look, their scales almost satin.
When this one that we saw, he just looked you in the eye. As soon as you come in, he'd be like, "Oh, I can see," and you're just like, "All right, lad, you all right?" Yeah. But yeah, he just looking in your eyes all the time. He was almost like, "I know what you're thinking," and you're thinking, "Yeah, don't bite me." But we went round. Had a couple of days training with a couple of venomous, this, that, and the other, which was more scary than coming on here. I'll tell you that for a fact. But yeah, he used to get them out quite often, and he used to handle them quite often. But yeah, and then the guy in the shop, he's got venomous. He does his DWA license and all that jazz.
DVLA. He got his DVLA license.
He could drive you mad. But they're a totally different experience altogether. Totally all day long.
Different kettle.
But yet again, they are a nice animal to have, to look at, to look after. But that's if you want to go down, because that's all totally different. That's vet bills, DWA licensing, people coming to vet your house, people coming in every, I think it's 4 times a year to come and check the animal.
Yeah.
And if not, they take your license away and then you're pretty screwed. But yeah, it's, sorry, the wife's going to get some food. But I was tempted with a caiman. But the wife's laughing here as if to say, you're not having one of them. You're not having one of them. You can live on your own.
Can't you get the dwarf caimans, though? Can't you get, like, quite... They do get, obviously, quite a nice size, but can't you get, like, ones that are quite miniature?
Yeah, the dwarf caiman, possibly, probably about 4.5 foot. I think there's a subspecies of it. It's about 4.5 foot. Once anything gets over 2 foot, you're going into dangerous territory. Then you could be dinner, arm off, that sort of jazz. But if you did things right, the same as any reptile or exotic animal, or even down to your rabbits, if you do it right, you will enjoy that animal. And to me, I worked it out because I think there's 3 countries that have different set rules for these animals. So, like, the one was you had to have an 8x6 dry land, and then you had to have an 8x10 pool, just for one caiman when he got to 4.5 foot. So we've got a 30-metre garden down there. So yeah, potentially I could have one. Oh, she's gone out now. Hey, but yeah, that's what I was looking at. But excuse me, they are cheap to buy. You're looking at 400 quid.
Crazy.
But then again, you've got your expenses on top, your licenses every year, you get vet billed every year because they've got to be inspected. So yeah, same again, it's dedication. You've got to have the dedication for that animal and know what that animal's needs are and what you need to keep that animal. And it's the same with any animal, just on a smaller scale, with the geckos, with your ball pythons, with anything reptile, you've got to give that dedication to that one or the bigger one. Same as your Burmese pythons. I had a stack of 4 vivariums that were like 8 foot by 4 foot by 2 foot. And I had to crawl in with these animals to get the shit out of the back and change his water bowl and do all that. But that to me, that's part of the interest of the hobby, as I'll say. I bred them once. I had 10 eggs off one female. She was not a small female, but I think she was dwarf, possibly bred. They were infertile as it was, but that was it. I knew I could move them on because obviously I didn't want 10 extra gigantic worms. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, as I said, and I'll keep saying, hi Dave, anything I'll keep saying is make sure that you can move those babies on. You will get breeders out there, and I'll use Dave as an example because he's a nice guy and he produces a lot of quality animals, but come end of season, he'll have this many animals. But you know from his quality and being the nice guy and having SP Geckos as his salesperson, he won't have anything left because he's built up such a reputation with people and other breeders. He knows
every
he
show, travels overseas, you know, yeah.
He can produce, for example, it's not what I don't know what he produced. He can produce 300 animals knowing that every single one of those
is going to go.
Could find a new home.
Yeah.
And that's what you've got to look at as a startup breeder as well. You've got to build that reputation. You don't want to go in guns blazing going, oh, I've brought 500 geckos. I've bred them all. I've got 50,000 eggs. What am I going to do with all the babies?
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, you've got it. You've always got it, and that's my mindset. And funny enough, it was my granddad that said it. As long as you've got somewhere to move it on, do it. Do it. Nothing's stopping you from doing anything. Just go and do it. As long as your heart's in it, do it.
100%.
Do you know what I mean? Don't stop. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. Move on.
Yeah.
Move on. There's always something out there that will. Move on. Or try something different.
Yeah.
Keep the animal, try something different with it. But as you said, there's negativity in there. People won't do it.
Mm.
People hate you doing it for doing it. People hate you for breathing. Wow. If you're that bothered, stay away from me. Don't get involved. Do you know what I mean? Do your own thing. I'll do my thing. You do your thing. And that, I don't know. It's my attitude. I don't
How
care.
we are as people, it's how humans are. We're too smart for our own good. You know what I mean?
People judge. No matter who you are, people judge. I judge. And I'll sit there and think, no, actually, he's not a twat. He's a real nice guy.
This is what I like about the lives. Is a lot of people is like, I thought I knew enough about you until the other day, and you was like, oh, mate, you don't know what reptiles I kept. I was like, I thought you just a couple of years ago you got some geckos. No, you started. Do you know what I mean? You started with 2 iguanas, and do you know what I mean? This is what I like about the lives, because of you can judge somebody. Like a lot of the time when I speak to people on Instagram as well, I'll send a video of me talking to them, or like especially the Americans, because of that way they can see my facial expressions. Like I was listening to Herpin Hour's podcast, and Nicola said something spot on. She said, like, when you on Facebook, let's say you're giving somebody advice. If I say to somebody, "Oh, that light's incorrect," just like that, they're taking it the wrong way. But if I put "that light's incorrect," smiley face, it takes the blow away.
Yeah, it's easy to misread stuff and to mishear stuff when people say it. Just in life in general. As I said, when I text Dave about this animal, and all he put back was think out the box. I'll tell you what, I felt like Luke Skywalker when Yoda was telling him, when he was teaching him. That's what I felt like. I was like, oh, yeah, I'm learning. Dave's the master, but I'm learning. Do you know what I mean? It's like, think out the box. I'm thinking, think out the box every frigging day.
Yeah.
But Dave was like, just don't go for the norm. Go for the diff.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. If it does, it does. Go back to the normal then. It's up to you. It's up to you, but that's what we do. Take it. Say again, sorry.
You won't know till you try, kind of thing.
No. As I said, you don't know if you like it unless you try it. So yeah, breed a pair of geckos, have some babies. If you don't like the whole process, move your babies on and just keep your geckos as pets.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Or try something else if you really want to breed something and you're not too keen on leopard geckos, maybe try. That sounds silly. Morning geckos, very easy. Live together in a colony. They can have eggs in the colony with them all. The babies can hatch. Go for something a little bit easier. But always, the motto of this live is do what you love, because it will show. And don't go in with this mindset. All of us have. It would be a lie if all of us who started this hobby didn't think, oh, we can breed some geckos and get some money out of it. So when I first got my 2 geckos, I got them from 2 pet shops. I bought an incubator. I got 6 eggs. The 6 eggs hatched. They got to 15 grams. I moved them on. I thought, whoop! They flew out. And I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to go and buy 5 more adults. Do you know what I mean? Everyone starts off like that, but it just doesn't work.
And I'll be honest with you, one thing I ever regretted, and when I bred my first Muck Snow, and I regret it now for the day.
Did you get the Muck Snow from Mackey's?
Muck Snow, yeah. It's like a McFlurry. What are you doing here, lad?
My red light's not having it today. It keeps dropping.
It's cheap.
It is.
But when I did the Muck, see, the new line there, you see. So when I produce these Muck, and you're taking a piss here, you'll be like, oh, I wish I was interested in all that. But I turned around and I was like, the first thing that came into my head, I don't know why, I was like, oh, it's 50 quid there. And I was like, no, what are you doing? And then that was the only time I did, was sit there and process. That's 50 quid. Not done it since. No matter what I've bred or had, the price wasn't an issue. The price isn't an issue. Like Dave said, if you want something, you will pay for it. And it's very, very true. I had the conversation with Mr. Redding and Dave, and I think Wade was somewhere involved. We were trying to figure out pricing of geckos, because it seems to be a touchy issue when it comes to, oh, this, that, and the other, and oh, this is this much or that's that much. And it's still a bit fuzzy now, but what we look at it is, what would you pay for that gecko? If you're going to pay 400 quid, because you know that gecko's the bee's knees, same as a car. You're going to pay Aston Martin prices for an Aston Martin. You're not going to pay it for
a Fiesta.
A Fiesta.
Yeah.
You're not going to pay. Do you know what I mean? It's,
yeah.
If you want that animal, you will buy it. There's been pages I've checked and gone, oh, excuse me, how much is this gecko? Blah, blah, and they've gone, it's this much, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll have a think about it. Next day, it's gone.
Yeah.
So there is somebody out there that wanted it, that paid that money. Not that I'm tight. I thinking, all right, what can I put with that, or what can I afford, or is that how much I want to pay for it, or whatnot? But that's also another thing you've got to look for. It's just because you've gone to a pet shop, paid 500 quid for an animal, but then you go to the show and they're 300 quid. People think, oh, because I had it from a pet shop, I can sell it for 500 quid. Doesn't work. The thing with pet shops, they've got bills, they've got wages, they've got to feed the animals until they sell, etc., etc. So they have got to put their percentage on to make the profit back. That's what they're for. They're for a this is a hobby. Do you know what I mean? And as I said, you've got to reasonably price stuff to move it on as well. But also people be like, oh, sorry, I've just got to show you these to Magic. I think Magic. Fruity. But yeah, that's the way I've looked at it. Generally, would I pay that for that? Yeah, I would. So that's what I'm generally gonna.
There's loads of factors as well as like the breeder, lineage, loads of things play a role. Like I could go and buy a Max Snow off of I don't want to put anyone's name, but I could buy a Max Snow for 100 quid off somebody, or I could buy a Max Snow from Ron Tremper and he's gonna want triple it. It's just because of the line, you're buying the lineage, you're buying the quality, and also, I know it sounds silly, you're buying a name. I got that from Ron Tremper. Do you know what I mean? I got that.
Yeah.
I got the copper.
So,
I got the copper from Dave.
As you said, so I buy just examples. These guys, don't take it to heart. I don't want your hate mail. So I brought 2 geckos from DC, and I've bred them, and people are going, all right.
If they're right.
Yeah. Not in my house. And you've put them together and gone, I've produced these geckos, and people go, oh. But as soon as you say, I've got these from DC geckos, people are like, oh.
Yeah.
Ooh. But no disrespect to anybody, it is because Dave has built up a good reputation.
Yeah.
And that's what people know, have gone, reputation, absolutely fantastic. There was somebody on one of the pages I commented on, and I went, oh, these are coppers. And someone went, oh, what do you mean these are coppers? They're just such and such. And I went, no, these are his own brand. These are his own line geckos.
Yeah.
His line. And they've gone, no, it's just this. And I went, copied and pasted what he put on his page. And they went, oh, yeah. Oh, wow, these are his own line. And I'm like, yeah. Because, same again, it's misinterpretation of people calling something a copper when it's not a copper. And you get that a lot. No worries, Dave.
There's a lot of people that look at a copper who don't know a copper and they'll think tangerine tremper. It's like, no, it is a tangerine tremper. You are quite right, but it's a line that's been worked for so many years. It's a copper. It's a copper line.
Yeah. So I had this conversation with a client, customer, someone that was interested, and they were like, why is this one this much and that one's double the price, but they look the same? I says, one, lineage, the genetics it carries, but you've got to think there's a lot of people out there that just want a pet, so they want to pay cheap prices, which, funny enough, comes back to where I originally started. nothing wrong with breeding normal geckos, and you could sell them 30 quid. I'd have 50 people through the door, 30 quid, 30 quid, 30 quid. But that money for me will either top up my projects going forward, or it'll run my gecko room.
Yeah. It's always going into it one way or another. Or you upgrade
Yeah.
it, or you're doing something,
Yeah.
you're buying a new heat map for your incubator, or, oh, I just sold that gecko for 30 quid. Oh, I need to get some more eco for the tubs. You know what I mean? It's always...
This is it, like we said. So I was scouting and I saw Ollie and Els mention Wild Racks. So Wild Racks, I think, are a new company on Instagram. They shared this post actually for this live, so
live.
shout out for them. And from the video that Ollie put on, the racks do look. I'm not disrespecting anybody else who builds racks. It was just when Ollie put it on, it just seemed it worked. The hatchling rack worked really well. So I got involved. I spoke to them and sort of things because, like LLV, what's his name?
Neil.
That's him, Neil. And thanks for liking all my pictures on my page. He builds great racks. Do you know what I mean? There's a company that I brought my first rack from, but they're all doing it, and it's fantastic work. New companies coming up, but Wild Racks, they look fantastic. It all looks smooth. Go visit them. Have a look at their page, and they are doing a giveaway, I think, on Saturday, with a live on Sunday, I believe. But Wild Racks _, I think their page is on their Instagram. So go give them a follow. But as you said, the money that comes back in off these geckos goes back in. When you go to move on geckos, you're buying tubs that geckos are in. They're costing you £1 each. Do you know what I mean? You've got 500 babies. That's 500 quid on tubs. You're buying shoe boxes, £2. It all adds up. It all adds up. But people.
Yesterday, I spent about 130 quid just on a dubia roach colony and food bowls for my geckos. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm always buying a new gecko. I'll sell 2 geckos and I'll go and buy. I'm constantly improving what I've got.
Yeah. So literally, the geckos that I moved on, that money went straight into my account and then went into other people's accounts. So yeah, that's the way it works for me. It helps me build my foundry of what I've got. So when I started, as much as I told this lady that asked the question, how many would you start with? And I said 1. I ain't going to lie to you. I brought, I think it was 3 from the show. I come home and then that was it then. Chloe's geckos got me hooked every day. Oh, how much is this? Oh, what's this look like? Must have done her head in. And then I found Dave. Oh, what's this? Must have done his head in. And then I went to Mike at Gecko Lounge because we must have been talking for about a month on where I picked this Tugstone male up. And then I took a picture and went, is this you? And he went, yeah, that's my stand. I went, well, I had it from you. And he was like, oh, you did? After a month of chatting. So we realised then that it was original Tugstone line, few. And he did it at me a good deal as well. And he was kind of gutted that he did it. But hey, shit happens. So yeah, I did. I went absolutely mental. I went, oh, I like that one. I like that one. Oh, I'll put that one with that one. I like that. So then you was coming up to my house. Well, my brother's house. Because my wife was at home. So yeah, you kept going up there, dropping stuff off here, dropping stuff off there. And then before you know it, I've got a large collection of geckos. But to me, as I said, because the experience I had with numerous reptiles and mammals and ferrets popped into my head. I kept ferrets as well. But I had the experience beforehand. I did message CF geckos because some blits were just still blurry to me. It's moved on 10, 15 years from when I did it. I wondered if there was anything new, what was going on, how it was all going. So I messaged him. Nice guy. Dave, nice guy. Chloe, beautiful. Great to talk to. And it went from there. I sat down. I picked and picked and chose what I wanted to put together for myself. I thought, oh yeah, and then I've always gone on a turnaround. So for 1 year I'd breed one female, and then the next year I'd breed another, so I'd give the one a rest. Because I'll same again, I'll be truthful. I had a female that almost died on me. She laid 4 eggs and she collapsed. I don't know why. She all collapsed in. She went to shit. She laid 4 eggs. I don't know what it was. 4 great eggs. They were infertile, but they were great eggs. So I was like, oh, never seen this before. Never had this issue. Brought her back, which was another achievement for me. Almost like playing James Herriot. But brought her back to life. She's up fit and running. And yeah, it was just like, right, okay, so I won't use her again for a year because I'll give her a year to recuperate, to come back to life, put weight on, leave her. Just literally put her to one side, bring in another female that I can breed from. So that's why, in sense to me, I don't generally make plans because you just don't know what's going to happen. I don't want to get my hopes up and go, oh, yeah. Yeah. It's almost like with Chris and these super duper things that he hits 1 in a million. I generally wouldn't put stuff together to try and hit that. I'd put stuff together, and if it happened, fantastic. If it didn't, it didn't. Like he did, he had a few, and it pulled off for him, but also he got other different morphs out of those pairings, which is what you do, which is what you're fantastic. And I think he said the other day, he doesn't breed hundreds and hundreds. He breeds enough, and then he'll move them on. And that's generally the basis of what I like to do, what I'm doing here. But to be worldwide famous, wouldn't everybody? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's a hobby. I've got a shitty T-shirt. But yeah, hopefully I will be at the shows going, oh, and then I'd like to turn heads, not just with my looks, but with the geckos as well. I would like people to go, oh, actually, he breeds a nice tangerine over there, or a nice purple black-headed monster. Who knows?
With me, I like being really good at something, and if I'm good at something, which is as much I go it all for it. It's like when this year I've pretty much doubled what I've breed this year, because of the demand. Last year everything just absolutely flew out. I'll just breed. What's the point in breeding 300 geckos if you can only move 200? So like last year, everything sold really quickly, and around about September, November, December time, I had loads of people asking, "You got any geckos available?" Oh, I've missed you. So I thought, well, next year I will double that. And what I really crave to do something like Dave's done. I would love to one day make something that, something happens to me, whether I quit the hobby, that my gecko, like Copper, will always be around now. It will never disappear. There always will be coppers. The lineage will always be there. It'll be crossed, whatever. I would love to make that stamp. And that's what I don't want to be famous or anything. I'll just love to think that that's George's work. Or that must be a gecko from George. Or that's a gecko from Mike. Or that's a gecko from Holly. That must be one from Chloe. And there's like little marks now with me, with my smiley heads. People are starting to say, oh, is that from George? Like with Chloe. Some stuff I see people go, that's got to be one of Chloe's. That's what I really... It's like what you said with art. It comes down to art again. Do you know what I mean? People will be like, that's George's art. That's Mike's art. That's not one of mine. That is what I really, really want to do.
It's the signature that you put in, but also, as I said, it's a lot of love and stuff that you put into these animals that will help you go further. Because, as I said, if it shows in your work, it will then show in you. And that's what I've always looked at, and that's what I've based myself on. So, yeah, I've got G&Ts from Chloe, and everybody knows that, and they are fantastic. I'll get this one out if I can, actually. This one I absolutely adore, but the others just as nice. But this one to me has got a lovely carrot tail on it. She's lost a bit of a green, but look at this. Come on. Gonna be on camera.
Oh, very nice.
And it has gone orange underneath the back of her tail as well.
Oh yeah, see
See?
that ombre round almost.
Yeah.
Very nice. Chloe's geckos are mental.
And I've seen some that she's produced this season as well, and to be honest, absolutely fantastic. Now, this one, it's shit on camera, but the green goes from the head. Oh, I don't think you're going to see it. But literally goes, and it's a very faint green, and then it's almost like a line in the centre of the body. See the green there?
Oh yeah.
And then the orange, and it almost comes down to the back of the legs. But she's just, I don't know, she's not put on much weight since I've had her. I don't know why, but I've got one downstairs and she's like a tank, absolute tank, nutter. And she bit me the other day, little shit. She literally, I picked her up and she shot shit everywhere and then she bit me and I was like, going to play today then. So I put her.
You got to take me out on a date first, mate.
Yeah, don't touch me like that. Don't touch me. But honestly, when this one comes up to weight, she's about 40 odd grams as it is, but I like to put a bit more beef on to make sure that they can handle the eggs, because it's not fair on them. I had a female that she produced eggs, they were infertile, but she lost loads of weight, and I was thinking, oh God, here we go. What's going to happen here? Her tail went stick thin, and I thought, oh God, what have I done wrong? But now, she's a battle tank. She's huge, and I brought her from a local breeder in Stafford, but she's piled the weight on. As I said, I try not to feed them because I don't like them overweight, but some of them you don't have to touch and they just put weight on. But a lot of the geckos that I've got are more, how can I put it, beefy than they are fat. They're solid, which to me is a nice gecko, where I've had big geckos before and they're just all flab, they're just floppy, and it's like, it's not healthy for you. But yeah, it's
I had a giant that even through brumation, where you stop feeding, he was still gaining weight. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
I think
funny
it's
enough.
down to their lineage, though. I think it's like I wouldn't say obese, but I'd say like it's something. It's like mum and dad's big. Do you know what I mean? It's that process. I think it's to do with that.
Well, it's like the same again, though, isn't it? It's like we'll go back to Dave. I know I keep shouting Dave, but I will shout everyone.
3-year-olds must be burning.
You're always sending me text message. But his colossal line, I think, from what he was saying, was literally he just kept big females back, and then the bigger females and the bigger females. But as we said to you before, how do we know normal hasn't got those genetics for bigger geckos in? Because I was speaking to Dave the other day about trying to put different colours and stuff into his colossal line, but as I think you spoke to other people about, such as your line with the giants and stuff, is you'll get 50% giants, 50% small, or you might get so much of this. So that one's a bit of a minefield. Do you know what I mean? It's something that probably needs to look into a bit further, and if they've got time to do it. But yeah, I wouldn't mind some giant this and giant that. But as I said, I think next season, as you know, I think, is she still on? There's a couple of geckos coming my way to put into projects to see what we can get out, to see what we can put them across, to see what. But then I think the season after that, it's not planning, it's looking ahead. But the season after that, I think I might try. I might speak to a couple of people to see what lineage I can try and use to create something of my own.
Yeah.
I think that's the way I want to look at it after this. So yeah, I will get funding from moving on my gecko hatchlings, but that money, same again, it will go into upgrading racks. It will go into food. It will go into this and that. It's already spent in theory, to be honest. I won't be going to Spain. I won't be going to Mallorca or Ibiza. Do you know what I mean? I won't be having a world tour. But that's what I'd like to get to. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, I'm happy with what I've got, to be honest. It's
what you said spot on earlier. It's like everyone has their own path eventually. Like Chloe's known for her GNT, Dave for his coppers, and Chris Flavel for his radars. And when you're like, when you're in the position you're in, you're probably thinking, I don't want. Sometimes you feel like you're blending in with everybody. It's like, for example, I've always liked having really nice cars, and when I bought a Ford Focus. And the moment I drove it, I thought, I blend in. I feel like a mum in this.
Everyone else has got one.
So it's same with the gecko. So I remember you speak to me saying, I love all the Max Snows. I love all this, that, and ever. But I want to do something that I people appreciate me for. Like I stand out for that. Do you know what I mean? So
as I said, it's not for fame. It's something I want to do personally for me as a breeder. Sorry, but
just tapping you on the back.
But if oh, a gecko, oh, an orange, magic. But if fame comes with it, mate, I'll roll with it. Yeah, I'll sit back. People can fan me, oi. But if it happens, it happens. I'll be happy. It's an achievement for myself. And then if something different happens along the line and it comes into the gecko world, then I'll have my haters and I'll have my lovers. But that's just parts and parcel, I'm afraid. No matter what you do, you're always going to get people that don't like it or think, oh, he's done this, he's done that. Well, tell you what, you go and do something and make yourself happy. Leave me to do what I'll do, and I'll do it. But
nothing nice, yeah, it's just, don't say anything at all.
That's not needed. Everything I say
I mean,
in the group. But yeah, it's a hobby.
Anyway,
look after the animals. Look after them.
I think we should probably wrap it in, Mike. It's like 2 hours, mate. I know.
Oi. So you've got to go to bed, have you?
Before we button it up, because Mike's been banging on. Any questions or anything you want us to answer in the comments? Because of, I think the missus is knocking on the door. I'm hungry. So if anyone's got any questions, also this will go on YouTube and Spotify, so everyone can listen to this at another day if they need to. If they've been nipping in and popping out.
One thing I will say is, balls to you, 2014, Gavin. I asked him a question earlier, and he says he has some big news for the reptile community that we might want to know. So what I'll do is I'll keep you all up to date on that one. He hasn't let me know what it is yet, so I don't know if he's going to pop it in one of his lives. But if you give him a follow and watch his lives, I've met him at a show once before, 2019. But as I said, he's a local lad. He's a local Brummie lad. But go give him a follow. Watch his page. He also speaks the truth as well, so he will keep you all updated on everything else. But yeah, all I'm going to say is...
Is it ball python news, or is it like a news? It's something everyone's going to benefit.
Yeah, everyone. Reptile community is going to benefit from this. So he said, yeah, just give him a follow, give him a shout, just follow his page, and look at Gavin's balls. But, yeah, he's got some really nice python. If you're a ball python follower, lover, stick to his page. He's created some nice stuff this season. Hence the reason why I was still on the, shall I? Because he's got some really nice stuff out there. But as I said, as we've mentioned before, I do artwork. Black Art Acrylics is my Instagram and my Facebook page. If you want something a bit different to hang on your wall, go over there, give it a like, give it a share, do what you can. I'd show you what I've got, but it's all in A3 size paper. A2, sorry, so it is absolutely massive.
Do you sell the skulls? Do you do like the skull? I see that you do make skulls, like you got the skull at the back there, the Lord of the Rings thing over there.
That is Goonies. That is a Goonies map that I had framed. The skull I took pictures from, so I painted that with the paint that I was trying out. This one was a piece of art of a child's gas mask. And it's got a butterfly in there that's actually decaying, so it's actually falling apart. The name of that one I called is Destruction. So I have a bit of a weird imagination. I called that one Destruction. Yes, they are up for sale. That's a sheep skull. But yeah, I've got loads of stuff for that. So this one on a poison bottle. There's 2 beetles on there. If you want to see more of this stuff, my page for this one is Dead Beautiful.
Dead beautiful.
Dead Beautiful, just like myself. I also got a raccoon. No, it's a beaver skull.
That sort of stuff would do so well at Donny, you know. There's a company called Dead Co that do all like the butterflies and stuff.
Yeah.
No, we're not talking about anyone in this stream, Michael.
This skull that I've actually painted black is actually painted a paint that turns colour when it heats up. So I'll try and get this on camera for you if I can heat it up. I'm not doing anything rude, look. I'm just rubbing my skull, said the vicar to the nun.
Because I've seen some trainers, they've made some trainers where it'll be like a black tick and then the sun hits it and it goes pink.
Yeah. This actually, yeah, it's warming up. I should have sat on it. So it goes on black, but then colours up.
Nice.
So you just think it's a normal black skull, but actually it's wowzers. But yeah, I do all sorts of mad shit when it comes to I've got this idea. This is what I'll do. But yeah, the bell jars I sell, framed butterflies I sell. There's a lot of artwork as I sell. Black art acrylics, Dead Beautiful. Go take a look. There's loads of stuff. Or if not, just message me on this page and I'll point you in the right direction for anything and everything.
Shout your reptile page as well. So there will be people that will be listening to this in Spotify, because a lot of people that view this is the people that look on YouTube and Spotify. So
yeah.
I know what your page is and everything.
Mr. Gecko Breeder, Mr. G Breeder, I think, on Facebook, and then it's Mr. Gecko Breeder on Instagram, because couldn't have Mr. G Breeder. Don't know. But yeah, take a look. As I said, go over, message me on any of those pages, and I'll get back to you. If there's anything you fancy doing, let me know. I believe George wants some art from me. But yeah, I've got people asking for my stuff, not all day long, but because it's a bit different. Honestly, take a look. It might take your fancy, but it'll work on the walls. It will. But yeah, it's, as I said, I try and do my art to try and keep focused on stuff, because it's just so relieving. And I started my artwork in it was lockdown. So I was ordering canvases left, right and centre. I had a shed built, go down there, paint. I'd spend hours in there, come back painted, like multicoloured. But same again, I had an achievement. I did it. I was happy with what I got. And then I was like, oh. And then people were like, oh, are you selling this? And I'm like, yeah, well, are you interested? Yeah. Oh. So a lot of my canvases I do on prints, which is cheaper than the canvas itself. So it can be rolled up and then sent out. But yeah, go take a look. Perfect. Black art acrylics, Dead Beautiful, Mr. G Breeder, Mr. Gecko Breeder. Find the symbol. Take a look, ask me anything you want, and I'll try and point you in the right direction. If I haven't got it, I'll try and source it for you or point you to someone that has. But yeah.
Perfect.
But all I want to do is say thank you to everybody that's watched or is still watching, and everyone that's given me support through all this. I was rusty when I come back into it, so obviously I was still asking questions. But thank you, George, for having me on this.
That's all right,
to have a shout out and whatnot. Hopefully I'll be famous. Needed that. So hopefully I'll be famous after this one, and I'll have 6,000 followers, and then who knows?
Who knows? Again, I appreciate you on Mike, and obviously Mike. If you know Mike, he's full of jokes and banter. And I told him my mum's got a naughty right hook, and he said his mum's called Jane, so she must have a naughty right hook. That stuff. So Mike's a really good person. Just if you want to talk geckos, just talk to each other. Mike could be willing to talk, and yeah, thanks for everybody for tuning in, and a big thanks again, Mike. We'll probably have you on.
No problem. Well, thanks everybody.
See you later,
see you later, guys. Take care. See you in a bit.